Well, what up? What up? Yo, what up? What up? You already know it's me locked in, man. What's going on, man?
What's happening, man? Shout out, dude. What's good, man? What's happening with everybody, man?
You know, what's good with the peoples out there? What up, Mo?
Yo, what's up,
Yo,
y'all? What's the
man,
deal,
we
man?
locked in.
We locked
I'm
in.
ready.
We
Man.
locked in on that work. We locked in on that responsibility. We locked in on that growth and development. We locked in on purpose. We locked in on taking care of our families. You know what I'm saying? We locked in on taking care of our communities. We locked in on truth.
You
Like,
already know, man.
what up?
We got the elder Jock Lion in the building for this, this epic interview. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be telling y'all that Jock Lion story. You know what I mean? We got these legends coming up here to give y'all their spills, their lives, their histories, and a lot of history on the culture and a lot of the conversations we've been having up here. This is just an extension of that conversation. What up, Kay?
Saying that, man, just been working nonstop, man, putting this B100 radio thing together, man. Oh, tapping in a lot of people, a lot of independent artists and other labels and business stuff. Just been like tapped in with that. Trying to get, then you got a summer program working on getting ready for like an 8-week youth program.
Right.
I'm putting together with somebody, with this other agency, On Fire agency. So it's working, man.
Right.
Then,
What up,
then
Mo?
trying to get this restaurant done.
Restaurant, you got like 8 businesses going. You be having your hands all over, bro. You be like 8
Then
on.
trying to get this. Hey yo, going back right now, working still. We in the thing. We gotta finish the studio up.
Right.
You know
But
what I mean?
Shay's over there writing a thesis.
No, I hear y'all. Everything is all right. Everything is all right. Y'all already know what it is, man. We locked in, man. It is what it is. If y'all tuned in, y'all already know what it is. Now I'm over here. I got this thesis that's due. I got a research design that's due tomorrow, and I'm actually working on it right now. So just trying to do 2 things at once. Locked into the we locked in and locked into this college work. You know what it's like, man. We got work to do.
Yeah.
You got some static coming off your mic too, KK.
As always, he locked into everything else, but he ain't locked into that sound check though. Bet that.
You ain't
1 2 1 2.
to that cricket phone. You ain't locked into that. You locked in the cricket. You gotta get locked out. You gotta lock out of that. You heard?
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, it's better. That's better. Word up. But yeah, we got Jock, man. We got Jock Lion in the building. You know what I'm saying? Another elder roster. Pan-Africanist. Garveyite. Queens, Brooklyn. It's like it's a struggle too. It's like some people say from Brooklyn, the Brooklyn dudes like, yo, you really from Brooklyn. The Queens dudes like, yo, you from Queens. So we gonna get to the bottom of all that. There's a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, in his history that he can give us the missing pieces to. It's a lot of missing pieces to these stories that we got. So we just trying to give y'all a full look at the culture from the 80s, the late 80s up to now, you know what I'm saying, on the New York culture. So that's what we doing. And if y'all ain't got no updates or things going on, we can introduce Jock if y'all ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
You already know, man, big bro Jock Lion. You know what I mean? One of my elders is in the building. One of my elders is in the building. Jock Lion in the building. You
Peace and blessings always. Rise up.
Rise up. Peace and blessings. Rise up.
Yeah, we've been eating all over the city. He pulled into Syracuse. You already noticed his family, you know what I'm saying? Elder, big bro, you know what I mean? Another person, we knew of each other in the streets, but we actually met in prison. On my casa, su casa. You know how we do. This is family for real. We don't play, you know what I'm saying? So, we got Jock Lion in the building. What's up, big bro?
Man, nothing but authenticism here, man.
That's
authenticism.
Right. That's right, man. So, without further ado, you can let the people know who you are and a little bit about yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, I never had a nickname, never had a street name. My name is Jock. It's on my birth certificate. You know what I mean? Never had an AKA. I was born in Marcy Projects, raised in Brownsville, lived in Tilden. I lived in Brownsville houses, moved to East New York, lived on Hinsdale, between Blake and Dumont.
There's too many East New York dudes up here. Like, come on, you or Moshe gotta go. Somebody gotta go. You, Mo.
I used to hang out in the Bahamas and shit. Then I moved to South Jamaica, man, right around the corner from the Mix on 150th Street. I lived on South Road Boulevard. You know what I mean?
So how old were you when you moved from Brooklyn? Because we got to get this straight. From Brooklyn to Queens. How old were you?
When I moved to Queens, I was just attending junior high school.
Junior high, what you was 12? You're definitely from Queens. 12 is you're definitely from Queens. If you was 12, you ain't hit puberty yet. You ain't getting nothing in Brooklyn. If you ain't getting nothing in Brooklyn, you definitely from Queens, bro.
Yeah, man. But I had a connection with Brooklyn still. I was still out in Brooklyn, regardless, because most of my family is from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? I got family that's low lives and shit. From that side. My mother was a Chapman from out of the style who was rallied just the Jolly Stompers and shit like that. That gang culture from the 60s and shit. And my mother was a part of that. You know what I mean? Late 50s into the 60s.
So you came up in the 70s in Brownsville?
Yeah.
As a kid.
East New York.
How was that? What was that like?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that. Well, yeah, that just that scenery, the vibe and stuff.
What was that like?
Yo, listen. I mean, we used to come outside just to go to the store and stumble over dead bodies and shit, man.
Wow.
Like that was regular.
Wow.
That was regular. One thing I can say that impressed me about East New York in particular is that they had this one guy. He was called the Hatchet Man. He was a serial killer. He's running around East New York in Brownsville killing people with a hatchet.
Wow. How many how many people did he kill?
About a half a dozen. And they never caught up with him.
Was he killing a certain type of people, women, men, like, or just randomly? Anybody?
Mostly women. But he killed one or two guys as well, about 2 or 3 guys. But the police never caught him. The community caught him.
Oh, the community. So how'd that go?
It was nasty. It was ugly. It was really ugly.
So
the community was a different situation then. When you had the Tomahawks out at the time, it was more of a community-based situation. The gangs were more into protecting and defending the community.
Right.
You know what I mean? More or less, rather than causing more harm to the community. They did their harm to the community in certain ways, but not as you see now. It wasn't no way compared to now. They really defended. Somebody caused harm to people in the neighborhood, they was going to hunt them down.
So when they caught that dude, what did they do with him?
They did him dirty, man. All kinds of things. I can't even tell you. I was very young when they caught him, but I know they ended his life.
Oh, he got killed?
Yeah, they ended his life.
Oh, wow.
He was kind of main bad of that nature. That got around.
Wow.
But also it was like, West Indians start coming in at that time too. So that's, I got my first glimpse of weed spots and things of that nature, Oh,
all right. So they had the weed gates and all
that. They were just coming in.
So how was that with the culture clash of all the Caribbeans coming into the community? How was that? How did that really go?
The thing was that in the 70s, there was a second influx of the West Indians that was coming into the U.S. And, their economy was mostly based upon the selling of them flowers. So they're basing themselves in different communities, mainly in East New York, certain parts of East New York, the dark side. The dark side of East New York is considered like the Bahamas, that area over there. And then up in the hill in Brownsville, they was up there, fluctuating over from.
So what did they bring the weed with them? Like they bring the seeds.
They bring it. They grow it. It was doing different things with it, man. They were doing different things. They didn't have that. There was no connections from the West Coast. There was no West Coast connections with the weed, bringing it over here from the West Coast.
So what was the name of it? Sensei, what's the names, the popular names of it at that time?
You had skunk. You had Hawaiian cess.
And that started in the 60s and 70s?
That started in the mid 70s. Wow. Yeah, mid 70s. Hawaiian cess, Acapulco gold. Yeah, those types.
So how did they clash with the community? You gotta mute up, KK. Did they clash with the community, or did they actually, how was the transition of them coming to the communities, and how did that go?
There was a clash in the communities, of course. It was a culture clash. So, I remember going to school with a few West Indians, and they had names for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Came on a coconut boat. You know what I mean? All kinds of names like that. And it was always fights. You know what I mean? There was a difference, and they didn't understand each other. There wasn't a understanding for each other's cultures as black people. Period. The culture was, you know, it was a clash where there was a misunderstanding in the language itself, the patois. You know what I mean? There was no understanding with that with African Americans. You know what I mean? It was a less, and then the culture, them having to adapt to where they at now was even hard for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. However, the music in the culture,
right,
the music in the culture would help kind of bind the cultures,
right,
the two cultures. It was the music.
Oh, okay.
Like the dance halls and all that stuff there, because some of you had a lot of African Americans going to the dance halls.
So there was sound clashes and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was sound clashes, definitely.
Yeah, the systems.
That was a part of it. Yeah.
All right. So that was like the beginning of hip hop as well. So all of that came together.
Yeah.
So how was the melding of hip hop and reggae in the community? How was that? Like, how was the parties? How was the jams? How was that?
That was a slower process. Again, that was a slow process. It happened faster in the Bronx than it did in any other borough. When it came to like Queens and Brooklyn, from my experience, you had African Americans that was going to, like they call bashments, which was their parties in the basement. They called them bashments. You had some African Americans that was attending those, like
bashment.
Myself.
So what was a bashment? What was like? Explain
like a house party.
Or a house party.
But they basically done them in the basement in houses. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. So what was some things from your youth? How was it coming up in Brownsville family? How was that? How was that conflicts? School? What was the school like? What was that like over there?
I went to 174 on Dumont, and I remember fighting every day. Every single day was a fight, man.
Wow.
Every day. Me and my brother K, we kind of started a little gang and shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, you started a gang?
We started a little gang, man.
In school?
Yeah, in school.
What was the name of it?
I can't remember, man.
Oh, wow.
We was young as hell, man. My mother, we even made jackets like the Tomahawks had, similar to the Tomahawks.
All right.
We made those jackets. My mother whooped our ass and took those jackets, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. But we was familiar with the gang culture because we heard it so much in our household. Because my uncles and my mother was involved with the gang culture in the 60s and the 70s. My mother left the gang culture alone from after my conception. My conception stopped her from participating in it.
All right. So any notable people from your youth that you grew up with that, you know, like celebrities out of Brownsville, street celebrities, any guys like that, you know, that's from your youth to elder?
Well, jailhouse legends, of course.
Oh, all right, jailhouse legends. Quite
a few. You know, the Livingston brothers, Ike and App Livingston. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with them. You know what I mean? Spady was with Spady. That's primarily it. Yeah.
Oh, all right. All right. So how we said schooling. So you said you was fighting in school, but how was the education system? How was that at that time in the 70s?
It was trying. Although I was fighting a lot, I was kind of talented. I used to be good in art. I used to be kind of good in the arts. So the teacher, one particular teacher, named Mr. Lewis, he saw a talent in me. So what he did was he took me out of that particular school on Dumont and sent me to an art school in Midtown Manhattan. So I was going to school in Midtown Manhattan at one time around a bunch of white kids.
So art, when you say art, what were you doing? That was like
drawing in particular. Drawing.
Oh, you could draw.
I was good with drawing, yeah.
Oh.
You know, I stayed frustrated. I grew up poor at one point. Before that I grew up middle class.
Single parent?
No, not at first.
All right.
In the beginning, my mother and father was there.
Yep.
My mother and father was there. And at that point, my father had pretty good jobs, man. He was manager at water plants and things like that.
All right.
Different cities in along the eastern border.
Right.
But him and my mother had a split, of course, and my mother started raising us on our own. Things got kind of dire then, so I went from like upper middle class to like poor.
Wow.
You understand? We ended back up in Brooklyn again.
Single family, family income.
Yes, from a 2-family income.
Right.
And outside of New York City, because my father moved us out of New York. We lived in Baltimore, in Maryland, in a nice neighborhood in Baltimore. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you moved to Maryland?
For about good 3 years, we was out there. Then the break came. Then my mother moved back to Brownsville.
How was Baltimore?
It was all right because the neighborhood I was in, it wasn't like West Baltimore. It wasn't like that. We was out in the outskirts.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was out like Beaver Heights.
All right.
You know what I mean? So coming back into New York was like a kind of culture shock because I'm a little older now.
Yeah.
Things is different, a little harder now. You know what I mean? But my family is close knit. So my family took care of us. Although my mother was kind of desolate at the time, my mother's family took care of us. You know what I mean? Got a kind of large family, so nobody allowed nobody to suffer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, we was pretty good with that. Family structure was the way it should be. Let me say that.
Okay. That's great. So the teachers, how was that? Like schooling, like
the schooling to me was oppressive. They only taught you about slavery.
All right.
From the slave mentality, you know what I mean? And that was it. It wasn't encouraging. Nothing was encouraging in me. You know what I mean? And then during my times, teachers was allowed to beat you.
They was beating you out of school?
Yeah, man. Yeah. At that time, in the 60s and coming into the 70s, the mid 70s, teachers was allowed to hit you with rulers and shit, man.
Yeah, I remember that.
Legally.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yo, Jock. Yo, peace, my brother. How you doing, man?
Peace.
So is your family from the country, or I don't know, I missed it if you said it earlier. Is your family from the States, or are they from another country?
My mother's a Geechee from South Carolina. My father was from North Carolina. I am not Caribbean.
Okay.
However, I don't know what it is. It might be genetic because of the Geechee aspect of my DNA, which some people don't understand the history. You know, the history of slaves, the rebellious slaves, and from the Caribbean being sent over here. You know what I mean? At the time, yes, they was sold off into South Carolina, and it was a mixture. But a Gullah Geechee, and there's really a tribe in Africa and Ghana called the Gullahs, and that's where the Gullah Geechees come from. The same culture and everything, so it's a mixture.
Wow.
So that's why I'm so familiar with the lingo from any island, really, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So when do you think like I know you mentioned the time period where you spoke about your time in school and stuff like that. Do you think that there was a correlation between you experiencing that middle class upbringing to where your family started struggling to when you started like misbehaving, going out there in the streets and doing stuff? You think that there was a correlation, or were you already doing that from the outset?
Good question.
Yeah, great question.
Although my mother's early upbringing was kind of wild, she didn't raise us like that. My father never been to prison, never been locked up, never been into the life or none of that. I didn't come from that. So I didn't know anything about that until I moved back into the city. When I moved back into the city, that's when East New York and Brownsville was at its worst, really. You know what I mean? We're talking about like 73. You know what I mean? 73, 72, 74. New York was out of control at that time. The murder rate was up high. Poverty was up high. So you already know what comes with that. That's when I got a chance to start. I was learning from the experience, the actual experience, you know what I mean? From that era. It was a total contrast. It was a contrast because in Maryland, I wasn't around none of that. I didn't see the crime out there. I wasn't in that neighborhood. And I wasn't around that. My mother and father never kept us around those type of things. You know what I mean? We didn't see that or feel that.
And when you say you was learning from that experience, what exactly do you mean? What experience are you talking about?
the violence aspect.
Okay.
Wasn't familiar with the violence. It was like shocking. It was, you know, like I said, a lot of things we seen was shocking. Like you literally seeing people get cut up, you know what I mean, in real time, tripping over, stumbling over bodies and stuff. We playing in alleyways. We playing in the abandoned buildings. You know how Brownsville and East New York was looking back then. You know what I mean? Everything was half the neighborhood was abandoned. You know what I mean? It was abandoned or tore down. There was big lots everywhere. There was lots everywhere.
Well, I mean, you know, being from East New York, you know, me and you, we definitely can relate. Unfortunately, Mikey and him and KK, they from Queens, so they wouldn't really know much about abandoned buildings and stuff. Probably, you know, abandoned residential homes and stuff.
Don't know anything about abandoned buildings. We're from a nice residential neighborhood in St. Augustine.
Backyard.
No abandoned buildings, no burnt down nothing, no pins and needles,
Yeah, I
dead
seen
bodies
all that.
getting chopped up. We don't know
All that.
anything about any of that.
And that was real. Yeah, that was real.
Yeah.
Man.
So how did that like, you know, like from a psychological standpoint? I mean, like how did that like I'm sure you know you stated already, you kind of alluded to that, it was already a culture shock, but how did that impact you and how did that affect the way, you know, you now had to respond to your immediate environment and what was happening out there in the hood?
Well, I was being coached by my mother as well, you know what I mean? Because we spoke to our mother. We was interactive with my mother, you know what I mean? Things that we saw, we was able to talk to her about it. You know what I mean? She gave us advice on how to deal with things, look at things, giving us good reassurance and stuff, everything was going to be okay. She understood that the culture shock was really kicking in. She seen it, you know what I mean? Felt it. But it wasn't really too much you can do because we had to go out there on our own. You had to go to school on your own. You know, she sent us to even the short trip to the store was an experience. You know what I mean? The short trip to the store to get some milk was an experience. You're going to run into something. You know what I mean? You run into things. I stayed in a lot of fights defending my younger brothers. You know what I mean? Because we're new in the neighborhood. When you're new in the neighborhood, in those type of neighborhoods, in that neighborhood, you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to defend yourself. You know what I mean?
So what impact did a lot of the issues surrounding civil rights, the civil rights movement and the human rights movement, the Black Power, the revolutionary movement, what impact did that have on your psyche back then?
At that time, I didn't really pay attention to none of that, to be honest with you. Like, you know, even like today, that's a good question because that was one of the vocal points that we miss on the history of militancy, right? In New York, where a lot of our parents weren't keen to that aspect of our struggle. You understand?
Mm.
Like, literally, the Black Panthers, the Black Liberation Army was left out there alone. The community didn't really support them the way they're supposed to because the actual Black person in the community wasn't keen as to what they were doing. They were paying more attention to the COINTELPRO's aspect in which they was pushing out to the people, more so than what the Black Liberation Army was actually trying to do. So I was kind of blinded. My mother wasn't really keen to the Black Panther movement, the Black Liberation Army movement. She wasn't really keen to that, you know. However, she was keen, like I said before, the gang culture, it breeded a sense of family, you know. It breeded a sense of family with that in particular. I didn't come into the militancy part of what was going on until I went to prison the first time. When I went to prison the first time, I was around a brother who became more like my father in prison, which was Bashir Hamid.
Of the Queens too.
Yes.
Yeah, Abdul Majid's co-defendant.
Yes. Majid, they raised me in prison.
Yes.
As a youth. You know what I mean? As a youth. Yeah.
And may Allah have mercy on both of them. Yes. I mean,
rest in solace.
Brothers right there. Yes.
Continue to inspire.
Yes, those are the brothers right there. So at what point, I know you mentioned that, you know, you finally got, you know, you started doing prison time and stuff like that. So I mean, explain that a little bit. Like how did you leave from where you were in Brooklyn to that being the case where, and at least at what age were you first snatched up and stuff like that, where you were impacted by the justice system?
Well, with the fighting and everything in Brooklyn, what that did was before moving to Queens, just before moving to Queens, when all the fighting in Brooklyn, it kind of shaped and molded my mindset as to the melancholies in the streets and the way of the world in the streets. So by the time I got to Jamaica, Queens, I'm getting the insight that Queens is a little bit more quiet, a little bit more subtle than where I'm coming from now. So I get there, I get to Queens, and I'm literally living I'm around the corner from 150th Street, 150. You know, on that block, you had like 7 kingpins on that block. They were moving like $1 million a day of drugs on that block. I live right around the corner from it. Although they kept kids off that block, they didn't want kids on that block. They had certain set of rules on that block where pregnant women and children couldn't come to that block. Anybody and everybody lived by the set of rules, and everybody would stop you. What are you doing over here? Get out of here. But as a kid, I'm curious now. Once I got my first whiff of seeing, why is that dude nodding like that?
So,
I saw that in Brooklyn.
Hold on, just to clarify. So the dudes that was hustling in the community had these rules where kids and women, pregnant women, couldn't come through this area.
Yes.
And why?
They did that so to keep the harm away from the children. They protected the community, although they caused harm in the community by selling the drugs. They also kind of protected a certain segment of the community by doing that. You know, no selling of drugs to the pregnant women or children, and don't have children or pregnant women around the madness. That disappeared, of course, but that was the setting then. But seeing that, going on, that was new to me. And as a kid, I'm curious. I became curious. And I got to meet people going to school who had family members in the game. I come from a family, I didn't have big brothers to look up to in the streets or a big cousin to look up to or go run to in the streets. I was my big brother all the way through. I hung out with guys 5 and 6 years older than me, elders. That was my regular hangout partners.
So these are the individuals who ultimately influenced you, and this is what ultimately led to you kind of dipping and dabbing, is what you're saying?
Well, I didn't dip and dab at first. What I started doing first was I used to go out to parties first. From going out to the parties, I met more people. Meeting more people, I started getting into their lives with their uncles and cousins and stuff who were in the game. I got more insight as to what they were doing and became curious, and then got into it myself. First of all, to try to help my household bring in more money, although my mother didn't appreciate it and didn't play that shit. But I did it anyway, I phased into it. It was a phase.
And how old were you about?
When I started, I was about 15 years old. 14.
So you started hustling in Southside?
Yes. So
at 14?
At 14 years old.
Yeah, you definitely from Queens, so.
Yeah, 14.
That Brooklyn shit is over, you know what I'm saying? So we ain't got to worry about that no more. You started hustling in Queens. You hit the streets of Queens. You got your first piece of in Queens.
Oh, no, that's not true.
That's not?
No.
All right.
You're
a little bit from Brooklyn then.
Yeah, the first situation was Brooklyn, man. That was East New York.
You a little from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
This dude Mikey's a fool, man. This dude is stupid, man. Yeah, so you said you was about 15, man. So what was that like though? I mean, was it a situation where you just was like out there getting a little bit of money? Were you somebody who individuals was giving like a little package to? Were you like what type of situation was that about?
Well, going in that direction, I had one time I had met a guy, man. His name was he's pretty well known. His name is Tuesday. He was the son of a queen pin named Hilda. Hilda, to me, I tell everybody this. Hilda, to me, she was a queen pin. She was the only queen pin in Queens. Hilda had a bunch of sons, bunch of wild boys and nephews. Their names is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Mo, Stevie. Those are the ones I got up with. Those are the first group of people that I got with going into the drug game. You know what I mean? And I became later on at the age of 15, 16, I became a lieutenant under her. I became a lieutenant under her on 150th Street, 150. I learned the game more so in all aspects through them. And she was the only one I ever worked for. After that, I was always on my own. I always did my own thing. I didn't work for no one, take no packages from nobody.
So you ain't take no work. So you was copping from her?
No.
Oh.
Nah. I went independent completely.
So peace and blessings, Jock. What's happening, man?
Peace and blessings. Rise up.
So you was you were saying at that time. So you said you was with her for how long? Were you in the streets though? That you actually started hustling before you got into something with the police? You said you started like 14
About 3 years. About 3 years. Yeah, I went from. That's a good question too. I started with her in that world. While with her, like I told you, I was hanging out with guys 4 or 5 years older than me, regular basis. I ended up becoming a part of a gang. Well, it's not really a gang. It was a youth organization. We'll put it that way. It was like the largest youth organization after the Seven Crowns, called the Southside 17. I ended up was anointed as the leader of that at the age of 16. All right. They started off with like maybe a little less than 100 members, and I took it up to like close to 350, 400 members before I got arrested. You know what I mean?
So what was the difference between these areas that you grew up in? So you, as young as you were, you now had the opportunity to experience being raised in Baltimore, Maryland, Brownsville, and East New York, and now you're on the South Side, Jamaica. So, I mean, all of these are like the hood, and to some extent, to a large extent, excuse me. So, what's the difference between these different areas? Like what, and how were they shaping your thought process differently at these ages and stuff like that?
Well, corrupted minds, different styles. The corruption, I didn't really get the corruption in Baltimore, in Maryland. I didn't really get to the corruption there. The corruption started in Brooklyn. Me seeing robberies, murder victims, seeing all this stuff going on, people being stabbed, women getting their pocketbooks snatched, slashings, all the crazy stuff. That's when I started coming into that world, the knowledge of it. Queens is when I became active in it myself. I'm starting robbing, strong arm robberies, and then armed robberies. You know, I consistently fight. I was a fighter. I always fought. I love to fight. Case in point, when I became the leader of the Southside 17, I would literally I would have a contingent of like 100 soldiers up on Jamaica Avenue hunting down Hollis, Queens dudes, man.
Hollis, Queens. Hold on. Stop the interview.
Hollis, Queens.
That's my
Hollis,
side.
Queens was our victims, man.
Hold on.
We had issues with them.
KK.
You understand?
KK
like,
ran.
Now, my predecessors, right? What happened was it was a culture that was going on. When I came to Queens, it was already a culture going on. There was issues between South Jamaica Queens and Hollis Queens that existed before me. So when I became the leader of the Southside 17, I took up that fight. And I took it to another level.
Why do they call it the Southside 17?
Because they only started with 17 members.
Oh, 17 members.
And it started from the South Side. And one of the reasons, you know, they had issues with somebody else. It was 17. They got together, and dubbed themselves the Southside 17.
So this is the beginning of the South Side and the Hollis beef.
Right after the beginning.
So it already was on.
Yeah, it was already on.
Did you ever get the information on why that beef started? I see all kind of Earth Gotti's brothers.
No, that's a good question.
I hear all these dudes from Hollis because, you know, we right near Hollis, but we didn't really have that problem. We was good on the South Side. You know, we could move around. But even through my time, it still was a little smoke between South Side and Hollis.
It was dying.
It was dying after the drug AIDS.
Yeah,
well,
even Farmers and Hollis. It was like that whole area. Like Hollis had beef with everybody. Like it had beef with Southside, Farmers. They was Murdoch.
That's right.
Like
Lawton.
Yeah. Hollis had beef with a lot of people.
So, you know, within that beef, man, other areas, we were so strong, Southside 17 was so strong that other groups aligned themselves with us. Like the Boom Bass crew.
Where was that?
And the Illy Ill crew.
Where was the Southside 17? Where was the area? It was they went from one area or just the whole South Side anywhere?
The 17 started in between. They were more so in between the areas of 97th Avenue, the Van Wyck, all the way up to like Linden Boulevard, going over to the projects, 40. That was primarily the area. When I took it over, they spread it throughout the whole South Jamaica. From across the bridge, South Zone Park, I had members. I had members from Rockaway Boulevard, members from Rochdale, members from Baisley, members from 40 Projects, from Merrick Boulevard, Guy Brewer, all the way into Bricktown.
It's crazy. I was just sitting there thinking, like being young and then catapult into a position of leadership, like, you know, go from what you've seen, like you said, Brooklyn, Baltimore, come back Queens now, like just getting into the streets, 14 years old, you done got a little run now. And I already know what comes with that, you know. Power get checked, head get big, I'm making money, I'm a kid. So how was you feeling, like mentally now being in that position? Like, you know, like, damn, I'm the leader of a whole, you know, movement out here.
Well, I've always been charismatic. And the guys that was older than me, my big bros, you know what I mean? They was like my bros, although they was my big bros. You know what I mean? Some of them today call me the big little bro. You know what I mean? I was always charismatic. I always had leadership skills. And I always in the forefront. I love to be in the front of everything.
That's what Moshe and KK call me behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It's a we locked in secret. You know what I'm saying?
So why are you giving it away then?
Not a secret no more.
It's not a secret no more. Well, they say once you share a secret between outside yourself, it's no longer a secret anyway.
Yo, that's a good question, KK, because I was gonna ask something similar to that, because, you know, like I was going more into the molding part of how those elders are helping to kind of molding, but you know, you kind of asked the question for me, but pardon me, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, you know, those elders at the time, they was deep in the streets, man. So everything they was a part of, they was doing, no matter what it was, robberies. I never got into burglaries. I never went up in nobody's house. I never did that shit. Like, I stayed away from that for some reason. That was one thing I stayed away from. There was a few things, but that's one of them. I never ran up in nobody's house and did none of that shit. And that was a Queens thing at the time too. Queens was really on that. You know what I mean? Burglarizing.
So, I apologize. Go ahead, big bro. Excuse me, please. I'll ask my question.
The culture of the streets at the time, I was being primed. I was being primed at that time by them, by watching them, by being around them. You know what I mean? Partying with them. They're talking about all the mischievous stuff, the scheming and the plotting, whatever. And I went in and did the same thing. I was active. Right along with them. Until I got so out of control where I started. And you know, the crazy thing about it is I've never been to juvenile. I never been to juvenile prison. I never been to group homes and shit like that. I got away from all that. Everybody else around me, most of the dudes around me got caught up a lot. Going to Pius 12, Goshen Annex and all that. I skipped all that. Ja works. Ja just never caught me up with that. I got caught in adolescent years.
So help us understand. Help us understand, and it slipped my mind because KK he kind of stole my freaking question from me, but I'm gonna probably try to ask it a different way. So, at any point, did you feel like you were doing something wrong? Because when we're in the streets, a lot of us are doing stuff like everybody's upbringing is a little bit different. Everybody's circumstances is different. Some are doing things, out of necessity. Some individuals are coming from dysfunctional homes, so they do what they got to do to take care of their loved ones. And I know you just alluded to that fact that you were out there to help provide for your family. Was there at any point like your conscience was eating at you, like, yo, you know what? Although I know I have to do what I have to do for my family, I know what I'm doing is wrong. Like, did it ever come to you that what you were doing was wrong, and it is what it is? On that note, did that come to at some point?
Yes. Committing the crimes I was committing in my neighborhood, I came across a set of big bros who instilled in me not to commit certain types of harsh crimes like strong arm robberies and robberies like that in the community. They encouraged me to take that outside of the community. Thus, I used to take, the members under me outside of the community, and we used to do things outside of the community. You know what I mean? We used to get on trains and rob white people on the trains and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Strong arm robberies. I even pushed it so far to, we used to go into Brooklyn and rob dudes in Brooklyn. We used to go to parties and rob dudes from Brooklyn at parties. We used to prey on dudes from Brooklyn.
But you still
and the Bronx.
You knew even that you ain't think that was wrong.
At the moment, no.
Definitely right.
I'm gonna keep it 100. No.
Biggest robbers in the world.
My thing was this. I was in a culture where, and I was in a mindset, I'm glad you asked that, in a mindset where, oh, I hear these dudes is doing that. Well, they robbing Queens dudes. Okay, all right, cool. We're gonna rob them.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the same shit to them. There was a roller skating rink on Jackson Heights and Roosevelt called the USA Roller Skating Rink. Everybody used to go there in the 80s. And this is the early 80s, mid-early 80s. I used to take my group there, man, 200, 300 deep. We used to go there, and we used to brutalize Brooklyn dudes that was coming in. You couldn't come up in there. You from Brooklyn, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
You're going to have a problem. And Brooklyn go everywhere. They came there. They used to victimize dudes, but once we got wind of it and we started going there, we turned the table on them. But I didn't have a conscience of right and wrong at the time. My thing was who's going to be the toughest.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
It was a matter of survival, that we got to be out here. We out here. It's tough out here, and this is just how we live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't gain a consciousness of right or wrong until while I was in prison. After meeting certain brothers and learning certain things. I knew nothing about George Jackson. I knew nothing about Patrice Lumumba. I knew nothing about these people. Asada Shakur. I never knew nothing about any of them. Once I started learning about them and the concepts in which they tried it on, that's when I started getting the conscience of the right and wrong. Mm-hmm. I wish I wouldn't have done this. I wish I wouldn't have done that. Well, I would have done this different. I didn't come into that mindset until then. Because in the streets, I was learning from people in the streets. The pushers and the robbers.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point did you finally, because you said you had like a 3-year run before you finally got snatched up. What did they see? Because you missed the Tryon, you missed the Pius 12 and all that. So where did you go? Straight to Rikers Island?
Straight to Rikers Island. 1983.
And what were the circumstances that led to you getting locked up at Rikers?
I had caught at the time. They had a thing going on in the courts where they were trying to give the youths a break from just going straight to jail. So they would give you 3 strikes. You get caught with a case, they give you a strike. They won't treat you so harsh or whatever. They might even dismiss the case. But I kept catching more cases.
Yeah.
I caught an armed robbery. Then I caught a gun possession in 40 projects. Then I caught another armed robbery and assault. They got tired of that. And I got sentenced to 3 1-3s behind that. But I stayed on the island from 83 to 84. I went up north in 84. I went to Elmira. I was in Elmira by the age of 18. I was in Elmira.
And you said 1-3s. Were they running consecutive or were they running concurrent?
They ran concurrent.
Back then it was concurrent.
And I maxed out on it. Yeah.
Wow. So what's I know, there's a significant difference between prison then and now, and what Rikers Island was back then to now. So help us get an understanding of like what that experience was like. Here you are coming off the streets. You obviously been locked up or arrested before, but now you're going to Rikers Island. Like, one, put us in that mindset of what's that's like for you. I'm sure they probably sent you as an adolescent to C-74. So what's your mindset of getting into this building? And also now you're going up north now. So where your headspace is with that? Explain that whole experience for us, man.
Number one, going to that 4 building, experiencing that 4 building for the first time, it was like it was a different world. Especially 83, 84, different world. I was around the likes of Soul B, who had the name of B Original at the time, 50 Cent, the original 50 Cent, Jimmy Henchman, Ace, couple Jamaicans, Bucky Marshall, aka Carnell, you know what I mean? Animal Jeff, and the likes, man, you know?
Yeah, you naming some legends right now, man. These are the big bros right here. These are the elders.
We grew up together, man. Basically. Yeah.
So how was it like bidding with them though? What was it like? What was the climate like on the Rikers Island?
Because all these guys, man, all y'all guys have y'all respective, and I don't mean to cut you off, Mikey, pardon me. Y'all have y'all history together. You know, but I didn't meet you. I mean, this is my first time, like, being introduced to you. Obviously I know who you are, right? But I know So B, I know Animal Jeff, like Bucky. When I hear these names, these are people who, I've been, influenced by, right? So, like, what was y'all relationship like? I can tell you what me and Mikey B relationship was like, and me and KK, but like, what were these guys like back when y'all was 17, 18? I met all these guys when I was a kid, and they were already in their 30s and stuff, but I want to always know, like, we want to know, like, what was a Soul B like when he was 18? What was an Animal Jeff like when he was a 16? Like, who are these guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, what were their attitudes, like their mental states and stuff like that?
Everybody had their own personalities. That's one thing I can say. Everybody had their own personalities. We were locked into one chasm, which was prison.
Yeah.
We come from different neighborhoods, different lifestyle. Things happen to us different ways. But it came to a commonality where, to be honest, we was caught up in what you call that badman mentality, that badass mentality.
Facts.
So, for instance, one of the trophies was, you wearing jewelry, it's not going to happen. Only certain people are going to wear that. So dudes had contests, taking jewelry from people, robbing people on a consistent basis, extortion at that age.
Yeah.
In the 4 building. The consistent slashings and one of the things we ran across a lot was the racism with the Latino brothers, man. There was some camaraderie with some Latinos who wasn't racist, which was a small amount. The rest, we had named them, they had dubbed the name Germans. We called them Germans. That's when we started using the term Germans, because there was a reflection of racism, of racist Germans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They used to use swastikas, literally. They used to put, you go in the cell, you see a swastika sign on the wall. Puerto Ricans used to put that up there.
This is crazy.
So we started calling them Germans. And then it was houses where you couldn't even go into their house. You would have an issue. You would have an issue with them. But going back to the individuals, Bucky was official. Bucky was official in his own right. He stood on his principles. He had Jamaican culture with him. You know what I mean? Kept his Jamaican culture serious. Most of the time serious. Animal Jeff serious. It wasn't too much kikiing. It was amongst us. You know what I mean? Everybody was on point from everybody else, but it was still like a certain type of camaraderie. You know what I mean? Where there was a certain group of individuals who were tight. It was weird. Then in some cases, some of those relationships got spoiled and turned ugly. Because it's like, who's going to be better than the next person? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy you say that because, you know, when we were growing up, we still had, and KK can attest to this as Mikey can as well, it was still that culture of who can be the baddest amongst us, right? You know, some individuals was taking it to an extreme level. Individuals was going to do whatever they got to do to show you that they're the baddest, that, you know what I mean, that came out of that era. And I see that now we kind of know we got a lot of that stuff. We inherited a lot of that stuff from our predecessors, which was you guys and stuff like that. So after you spent the year on Rikers Island, explain the difference between that experience when now you're going to reception at Elmira and now you up there with a whole different type of mentality of people and personalities. What's that experience like?
Well, the experience is the change came from being around older dudes who were actually murderers, kidnappers, that have been down already 10, 15 years, 20 years. At that time, the culture included booty bandits in particular. The booty bandit culture was very strong at that time, man. Rapes was like rampant. Dudes was being raped, man, literally. And it was okay in some senses. But you had some brothers who wasn't going for it.
Yeah.
So it happened in adolescence. Like, for instance, they had this Puerto Rican kid named Superman. His name was Superman. It was kind of cool. He was a tough Puerto Rican kid, man. Tall like me, liked to fight. He was on his what you call that biker shit. He liked to wear his leather jackets and his MC boots and shit. They used to drink their tang out the boot, get the water, scoop the water out of the toilet with their boot, the MC boot, put the tang in the boot, shake the tang up in the boot and drink the tang out of the boot. These are the different. This is the type of stuff.
You know what I mean? I'm over here eating, yo. That's crazy. I almost spit all this yams out my mouth, you heard? I'm like, hang out the
So
boot.
they had the different. That's the gang. That was the gang situation back then,
crazy.
right? So they had the what is that? The Chingalings,
Yeah.
Filthy Mad Dogs back then. You know what I mean? That's their name.
The Filthy Mad Dogs.
Fuck the world. That's what he used to say. Fuck the world. You know what I mean?
You can't make this
But
stuff.
the guy, Superman in particular, turned out to be a booty bandit.
Yeah.
But I dealt with this guy, man. You know what I mean? We did things together.
Yeah.
Like, we had things in common. We see certain guys, dudes that's not a part of our situation, we going to get them for whatever it is.
Yeah.
So one day I'm in a house with him. I go on a visit, come back from the visit. He got the house in an uproar. I'm like, what's going on? Feel the energy. Superman got this dude in the bathroom, in the day room. What are you doing in the bathroom? He got him doing something. Me and Superman got into it. Because I wasn't having that shit. I wasn't dealing with that, man. I wasn't having that, man.
Yeah, that's a different type of superhuman stuff there.
Yeah, we never.
Yeah, nah, that's one thing we ain't getting into there. Yeah.
But also, they had guys who was adults, literally adults, who played adolescent and was amongst the adolescents with us, preying on us.
Mm-hmm.
Certain guys they couldn't prey on. You know what I mean? Guys like me, Bucky, Soul B, and a few others, or quite a few others. They couldn't do that to us, but they was doing it to most of the other guys, man, extorting them and all that. They older than them, they bigger than them. They was doing that. But the coach, we got used to it, being around the older guys, knowing that they older. So when we got upstate, we were kind of used to them already. You know what I mean? The booty bandit thing. He had another guy from the Bronx named Pop. Pop was on some booty bandit shit too, but he was so-called a tough guy too. He can fight. He's about 100 pounds heavier than us. You know what I mean? I was in the house with him and shit. He did that in the house. We was going to do something to him. He stopped doing that when we ganged up on him. You know what I mean? We ganged up on him. He stopped that shit. You know what I mean? They got him out of there. And I went up north. I went to Elmira. Reception was the Animal House, man. Animal House. My first time in Elmira Reception, man, the police threatened us, of course, coming off that bus. You start any of that Rags Island shit up here, we're going to kill your little asses. That's what they said to us. We'll kill you in this motherfucker. Then going into the blocks, going into the block area, they got, the tiers. You know how the tiers are in Elmira on either side, right up under each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing a fucking spider web going to chow through the middle. There's spider webs. There's fucking lines all over the place. I never seen no shit like that before. I'm like, what the fuck is this? They got spider webs? These guys in their cells are shooting. The innovation was crazy. That's my first time seeing the innovation being in prison, shooting lines across to each other. And then seeing the brutalization from the COs on us as well. Because those police in Elmira was really beating the shit out of you, man. They were some racist crackers, man.
That's a fact.
They were beating the brakes off of us, man. Some beefs came up north from the island. Dudes got their work in or whatever in reception. But you're going to get a serious ass whooping, man, and put in that box.
Were there gangs? Were there gangs back then? Or just like on some boroughs, clicked up type stuff?
Good question. I'm gonna go back to the island real fast. One of the big things was when you come to the island, first things do is ask you, where you from? Where you from? Queens. The reaction you get saying you from Queens is different, you heard?
That is true.
No, the reaction you get, you start hearing in the background, Queens.
Yeah.
Queens. Brooklyn.
Yeah. That is true.
So I'm getting used to that coaching now. I'm like, really? Queens. That, when I really found out what that entailed, that's when I really got harder with my Queen shit. Like Soul B, few of them will tell you, you couldn't abuse a Queens dude around me, man. Not happening. And I'm going all the way out. Because I put work in with guys from Bronx and Brooklyn that I was tight with. We put in work together. But when it came to that borough thing, and you did that around me, you're not going to abuse them dudes. You ain't going to abuse Queens dudes around me, man. You're not going to do that. So I kind of carried one of the guys that carried the borough on my back from back in the early 80s. And it wasn't very many. But I was able to, curtail a bunch of the abuse. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of abuse, man.
Yeah.
I mean, guys with like 15 buckets in their cell washing clothes. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
I had to see some amazing shit, man.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, a lot of, dudes from Queens was Hoovers and Maytags, man. A lot of them.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You had your few that held it down. They was refusing that shit. They wasn't doing none of that. You know what I mean? You got to do what you're going to do. They're going to do themselves too.
I know I asked a question about the gangs, and I don't want to skip that question.
Only gangs I recall was Latino gangs.
And what was some of the gangs?
I named them. The Filthy Mad Dogs.
You said the Filthy Mad Dog. You did mention that.
Filthy Mad Dogs, the Chingalings. And then up north you had the Rat Hunters.
Yeah.
The Rat Hunters, they started in the 70s, the late 70s.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
Late 70s.
Yeah, but so where did the culture of believing that Queens, because you know that even impacted us. Like, you know,
hold on 1 second. Pardon me for a second.
Mm-hmm.
There was one thing that was misconstrued about the gang thing was with the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths. A lot of people considered them to be a gang.
Okay.
You know, they misunderstood the principles of the lessons and things of that nature. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they just looked at them like a gang. The guards are always running together. The guards are always together. You can't abuse a guard around the guards and all that. There's none of that. They holding each other down. They look, you know, you had Latinos who looked at them like they were gangs, a gang, not understanding the culture.
So where did the because we were impacted by that too, of how we treated Queens dudes, right? And I don't even know where I got that from, right? It was just,
you got it from your predecessors.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that you heard, and then next thing you know, we started doing it. And I, but the funny thing was that
the next thing you know, you getting beat up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, but I'm like, yo, like, where did it come from? Where dudes thought that it was all right to mistreat Queens dudes, and that Queens dudes just was soft? Like, where did that come from? Like, who created that? Who started that narrative?
That was just, I don't see. One thing I looked at is this: like, well, how can that happen? Why was that happening?
The upbringing. And
I thought about it. When you really look at it, Queens,
suburban,
didn't have that many black people. Period. The borough of Queens did not have. It was predominantly white. Greek, Irish, Italian. That's Queens. You had your segments of Queens that was black. Like small segments. It wasn't big segments.
It was moving on up.
Southeast Queens, a small portion of Astoria, Long Island City, period. You know what I mean? You had your little Woodside, like small areas. But Queens is a big borough, land-wise.
And it was suburban. James Brown lived there in our community.
There's no projects.
James
so
Brown.
The mentality of the black people who lived there was like, you had black people that lived in Queens that was originally from the Bronx or from out of Brooklyn, who moved into Queens to do better, to try to do better. You know what I mean? Some of them, you know, got a little riches from the game, dealing with what they was doing with in Brooklyn, they was doing in Brooklyn or Harlem or the Bronx, and moved to Queens, moved their family to Queens, and wanted them to raise them different.
Yeah. Max the First just raised a valid point. He said it was jealousy. Our neighborhoods were nice. We came from single family households. St. Albans was 95% black in the 80s. I think I definitely would agree with that. I mean, you guys obviously would probably have more experience in that. A lot of times, you know, from our standpoint, we just inherit beef and we don't even know where the hell it came from. And that's just one of the many things that we inherited, and it just was something that we carried on, and people still do it today. When you mention Queens, people say Queens, and it's just like this whole culture of thinking somehow that Queens dudes are soft because they from Queens.
I think it's more so deprivation. I think it dealt more with deprivation. Me being from both of the boroughs, man, and dealt with guys from the Bronx and Harlem. It was more deprivation. Brooklyn guys were more deprived than Queens were. Queens guys their families had better jobs and things of that nature. They have jobs with 401ks and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brooklyn, they were striving. Really striving. The Bronx, they were striving. So they had to get it the best way they could. So they kept that mentality in prison. It got more heightened. So when they see a guy from Queens come in, he's doing quite well. Yeah. He's doing quite well.
And you got to think about it too. Not too many Queens dudes were coming to jail versus as many Brooklyn dudes were, correct?
Because again, there wasn't that many black people in Queens.
Okay.
See, Brooklyn was dominant because the predominant level of projects are stationed in Brooklyn. So the population is bigger. The black population is enormous. the level of the criminal aspect in the black community came out of Brooklyn at a heightened level. That came out of the Bronx was at a heightened level. Because most people committed crimes to feed their families. So they went to jail more. Queens they had families, mothers and fathers who was working. They didn't have to go to jail. They didn't have to go out in the street and rob nobody and do that. Dudes did that on their own. The ones you seen going to jail, most of them, they did that because it came into the lifestyle. They came into the lifestyle. They did what they did in the street. They didn't really have to do that. And they got caught up, ended up on the island or up north. A lot of those guys came from good families, man. You know? Opposed to Brooklyn, dudes coming from out of Langston Hughes, dudes coming out of Marcus Garvey, dudes, you understand? There's a difference. A grave difference.
Mikey, check your phone. So after you come home off this bid, because you do your bid now, and you said you was up north for 3 years now, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like now after you came back home? And what year did you come back to the streets? Was it 86?
I came back home the end of 85.
Okay, so what is your mindset like now that you've been released? At the time now you have to be what, 19, 20 years old?
At the time I was 19.
All right. So now you come back to Queens now. I'm sure you done did your first bid now. Now you feeling it. Your weight is up. Like, what's going on? What you thinking now?
Well, you know, I just came from college. I just came home from college. So it took me, what I mean by that is that I was learned at a deeper level in the street mentality. Now I got the jailhouse mentality to add on to that. My experiences, my little scrimmages I had in prison, I added it on to what I already was a part of already. You know what I mean? So it kind of made me worse. So it was an economical situation. So I came home. I needed to get some money fast. So I came home. I set myself up, sold some drugs. Didn't know how to sell no damn drugs. It's the new era that kicked in now. Remember, crack just kicked in. I wasn't used to no crack. I never heard of crack. All that started while I was in prison. So I'm home in the crack era now, the beginning of the crack era. I get caught up for a sale. I get locked up again. I catch a slashing case, so I go up north for both. I go back up north for both. I stayed home 1 month. Back in with another bid. 86.
1 month you 1 month?
1 month.
And what did you, damn, that was a short run. And what did you get locked up for this time?
Drug sale, drug possession. And while I was on the island, they charged me for a slashing in the 4 billing.
And they sent you back up north?
Yeah.
For how much now were you sent back up for this now for?
They gave me 3 to what is that? 3 to 7.
So your mindset is totally different than the first time you got locked up now. Before, when you came up, were you a little nervous the first time you went on Rikers Island? I'm sure you probably heard of the.
Of course. Not many people they're gonna lie to you. Were
Okay.
you nervous?
Who, me? Was I nervous? I was very nervous.
Okay.
I was very nervous.
Yeah.
That turned into being very, very violent because that nervousness is like a matter of survival.
Right, exactly. That sense of survival kick in, so you turn into an animal.
A straight animal.
Yes.
Straight up. But what happened? What happened now to your psyche? This your second time on the island, second time going up north. You like a veteran now. Now your mindset different. You know, you like an OG now. Now it's like, I'm not playing. Even though I wasn't playing the first bid, now you're on a whole different level now. So what? I know you're upset because you just left. You literally just left. So I know you got to be fuming inside. You just left, like literally up north. Now you're going back up north with more time. What's going through your head at that moment?
Sense of confusion. A sense of confusion, like, what am I doing here? Especially I'm back so fast. Like, what am I doing? When am I getting out of this? And then again, at that point, I was around nothing but the badasses. See, one thing I learned is that when you're young like that, you don't have no one with good influences around you. You're gonna sway over to the bad or stay with what you've been dealing with. You know what I mean? So it got a little worse. This is when the reputation started getting a little becoming in place. The violent reputation. Had a couple scrimmages, but most of my scrimmages were people who had names for themselves. You know what I mean? In the state already.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I started getting into that. I ended up in Clinton, Dannemora.
Oh my God.
At 19. I was 19 years old in Clinton,
That's
1986.
crazy.
And Soul B was there with me too. Me and Soul B was 19 together.
Y'all was rocking with each other like that? Y'all was hanging?
One thing about me and him, me and Soul B ended up from the age of 17 all the way until adulthood. We ended up in the prisons together, like the same jails.
Was y'all cool though?
Always. We clicked like certain individuals. Like I said, when I named certain names, we always clicked. We was either neutral or we really clicked hard.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like it's different between knowing somebody and messing with them. Was y'all cool?
We did some things.
Oh, wow.
We did some things together. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, So B is one of my mentors and my big bros that had he was very instrumental in my development over the years. And I love Big Bro, but he always talked about his hands was mad nice. Like let's talk So B hands. Like what's going on? Did he know how to fight, or he was just one of them dudes that was like a brawler? Because he used to talk mad smack. Like, yeah, yo, Moshe, I'm telling you, when I was young, I was this and I was he really that guy? Because I need to know this. Because if he wasn't that guy, I'm calling him. I'm saying I was just on the joint with Jock. You wasn't that nice, man.
Do the voice again.
Yo, man, I'm telling you, Moshe, you don't know when I was younger, my hands was nice. I was this. I'm telling you, you wasn't there. You don't know.
Yeah.
The big homie of the big homie. Salute to Soul B.
So be tuned in, man.
Salute to Soul B.
Right
how was his hands? What was going on?
What's going on? Like we want to know, man. Was he mad nice with it? Did he know how to do all that?
Did he know the 52 and all that? Was y'all doing the 52?
We came from a time.
Who knew the 52?
Listen up. We came from a time and era, right, where you had to fight. No, real talk.
Right.
There was less weaponry. The ones who used the weapons the most was the Puerto Ricans. Although we did too. We did too. But primarily with us, when you came in the housing area, you had to fight. It was like mandatory. You had to slap box. That was mandatory. Just for play. We were slap boxing for play. The 52 was like an additive to the slap boxing. And usually the guys that was really on that timing was the ones who practiced, was an apprentice to the 52. I even practiced it.
So who was teaching the 52?
Usually it's the older guys, man. The older guys teach us that, and we pass it down. We learn it, and then we pass it down. But it was mandatory. That corner was a mandatory situation. You had an issue with the phone. That corner was a mandatory situation.
So who was the best in that time in the 52? Like, listen, he's the guy.
Because in my era, hands down, I got the best hands. Everybody knows. Like Mikey, KK, they can't mess with my hands.
Well, hold up.
They said you
he just woke up.
They said you had the kung fu grip, the slippers. You was coming to the yard with the Chinese slippers on, and you used to be fronting on dudes with your foot up like you was gonna kick somebody. Everybody thought you knew karate, so they stayed up off you, bro. You the only dude in the yard with Chinese slippers on. You got the karate slippers on in the yard, bro. That's the only reason why dudes.
They saying that because he come from a kung fu family.
And anytime he would talk to you, he would like move his hip, like flick his hip, like Bruce Lee. And that's why dudes are scared of Moshe. But you never kick nobody, bro. You never kick nobody. Stop it.
Hey, yo.
But who had it? Who had the hand?
Nah, Soul B hands was nice, man. Soul B's hands was nice. I was a part of that fray. You know what I mean? See, look, I'm saying I'm coming from Queens. I'm Queens. So you know I got some pressure on me, right?
Right.
Mad pressure.
I got pressure on me.
Yeah.
But I'm in the mix with I'm in the mix with all these guys I named already. I'm in the mix. I'm out there plotting with them. I'm doing the same shit. Doing the same shit that they doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in order for me to survive that, your hands got to be nice, man.
Yeah.
One thing about me to add to me personally was I was able to use my feet very well.
Oh, he had the kung.
Both of my feet. Both of my feet.
Man, I knew somebody had him.
I was kicking dudes' heads off, man.
I knew somebody had him on the pedal.
And I had hands, so my hands and then my feet at the same time. You know what I mean? So I get a problem that he wasn't used to.
You ever heard of Adidas and Fort Greene? Adidas?
Yeah.
He had the best 52 in the game?
Nah.
So who had the best?
Eric Tweedy, man.
Eric Tweedy?
Eric Tweedy out of Brooklyn.
Okay. So we getting some history, man. Yo, listen, y'all tune in to We Locked In. I'm here with the elder Jock Lion. I got my brothers Mikey B and KK on the set. If y'all did not hit that like button on your way in, please hit the like button, share it, put a comment in the chat, man. Y'all already know, man. Subscribe to the channel, man. Pardon me, my brother. Go ahead, Mike. What you said, Eric Tweedy?
Eric Tweedy and Glass Man.
All right. So a lot of people think that the 52, being that we have on the 52, just give us some history on the 52. A lot of people think that it's boxing, but it was actually blocks, right? What was the 52?
52 was a combination of 52 blocks and 52 blows.
Oh, it was blows and
so
blocks?
You have to block. In order to throw a punch, you got to learn how to block it, right?
Was you touching the ground and all that and coming back up?
You didn't have to.
The legs
it was different styles. It was different styles. Dudes had different styles.
I don't think nobody in my era know how to do 52. Dudes talk 52, but don't nobody really know how to do 52. I think our era, we tried to act like we know what we was doing. So a dude from my hood named Corey.
That's what I'm saying, you heard?
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Nah, I was scared. An elder from my hood named Corey Heath. He was like he had the nicest hands down. Ain't no doubt about that, right? In my hood, right? At least on my side of the east, excuse me, in Boulevard of Linden, right? So he was nice with it. He taught pretty much everybody in his era how to fight, and we kind of like benefited from it like that. But we didn't really know how to do the 52. We used to act like we probably know how to do 2, 3 of the blocks out of the 52 blocks, right? But we didn't know what the hell we was doing. But I
never mastered the entire 52. I don't think most people around me mastered the entire 52, but you really didn't need it.
Who created the 52?
Eric Tweedy.
Oh, he created the 52?
Yeah, Eric Tweedy.
Okay.
Eric Tweedy. His style was different. His style was different. Agile, power, freaky with it. He's different.
Freaky with it.
So they reckon me in the chat. Now they talk about Bruce Moshe Lee. They wilding on me. They wilding on me. Yo, D-Tom, shout out to you, man. Yo, straight up Watts is in the building. I see y'all in the building. Y'all reckon me. Don't listen, yo, D-Tom. I will come all the way to Watts, California. I will kick you in your leg. You keep messing with me.
He's fronting. He's a front. Don't go for it. He's a bully with sandals on. Don't believe it, you heard? He's a bully with sandals.
Oh, he was running around in the streets. He didn't go inside the dojo with his uncles and the man, his pops and everybody.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. So
he wasn't in the dojo.
Nah, listen, I kick you.
They saying 52 from Africa?
Yellow sucker. No, so Jock. So all right, so let's go back to. So was this the bid where you started meeting some of the elders that began to have a major impact on the development of your young mind, where you now started to see you being in prison? Did you get to that point yet, or nah? This wasn't even. We ain't even talking about that yet.
This is exactly the point when it started.
Copy.
19 years old in Clinton, Dannemora. Actually, they sent me to do the 3 to 7. They sent me to a medium. They put me. I opened up Wyoming. No, not Wyoming. Orleans. I was one of the first guys in Orleans, man. Me and Big House from East New York. Me, Big House, and OJ from East New York. They from Cyprus. So we go there and open that up. I'm there for a second. I got into an issue with some kid from Buffalo, big young boy, man. He looked like Mr. T. That's how big that boy was. And he said, "Where's Mohawk like Mr. T?" and all that. He called himself punching me in my face because he got mad because I was cracking on him about his hairstyle, you know? And I ended up stabbing him in the school. And they put me in a box and they sent me to Clinton. So I ended up in Clinton at 19.
So you did. So why you stab him and they fight him? You said you was nice with your hands. You thought you couldn't beat Mr. T. He was too big.
I just want to get rid of him.
He's too big.
Yeah.
You're like, hold up.
Get him out of here. Yeah. He's out of here.
All right.
Yeah. That was my mindset.
All right.
Yo, Jock said, I pity the fool who think I can't stab him.
Yeah. Got him out of here.
So that was your first time in the box, or?
Actually, yeah. Yeah, that was my first time caught up in a box with it for stabbing. I got away with a lot of stuff, man. I was kind of sneaky. So I got away with a lot of stuff. But that one there was all out because he made it nasty.
Oh.
Yeah, he grabbed onto me and tried to take the knife and all that, but he was bleeding out. There was all kind of stuff going on. So he kind of like blew it up. That's what they say, blowing the spot up.
Yeah.
So how much time did they give you? How much time did they give you for that box trip?
They gave me actually a year and a half. They gave me a year and a half.
Yeah, man, people was playing no games.
They gave me a year and a half. I put in an appeal. Old timer. Then Mr. Lee helped me with the Article 78. He showed me how to submit Article 78. I submitted Article 78, and I got 6 months taken off, and I did a year, and they sent me to Clinton. Ended up in Upper H Block.
Before that, did you know anything about how to file Article 78? So did you know anything about the law or anything of that nature that this could be used as a tool to fight back against the system?
Not at all. Mr. Lee was the first one who really demonstrated that to me and showed it to me. I heard of it, but I never had no one to really show me.
Yeah, that happened to me. The first time I went to the box was when I assaulted the police in Sing Sing, and I didn't know about Article 78. I didn't even know about the whole appeal process. And it was the elders in the box who actually was just like, yo,
exactly,
we got some serious charges. Like, they charged me for 2 assaults on police. It was like, yo, you need to appeal this. I was like, well, what do I do? How do I do it? And he pretty much did my whole 78 for me and appealed to Albany 78 and stuff like that. But and I don't know if that's happening now. I remember years ago, I kind of saw like younger brothers coming in and nobody really cared too much about whether or not individuals were going to help them fight the charges that they were in the box for, when that was like the culture. You know, when you came to the box, individuals wanted to see your paperwork. They wanted to know what you was there for. They wanted to know how they could assist you. They wanted to teach you. They wanted to give you help you get an understanding of how to fight back to get out of that cage, not to stay in the cage, but to get out of that cage. That was the culture. Was the culture the same back then, where, you know, individuals was, you know, integral in trying to help you young brothers learn more about the law and stuff like that?
I think that was the that existed at a greater percentage back then with the elders and us. But at the same time, in my era, we respected the elders a lot more than these guys the way they support or respect the elders now. You know what I mean? Like, we looked up to our elders. We put some work in, but we didn't look down on them. The ones who deserved the respect, we gave it to them. We saluted them all the time, man. And we learned from them. They had a lot to teach us.
Why? Like, but why? Why did you guys feel the need to do so versus what we see today? Like, what was so important about that? Why?
I think most of that comes from our family upbringing in the streets. I think we brought that in from the streets with us. We was taught it was kind of enforced to respect your elders.
Okay.
So even in the streets, it was like a thing. You respect your elders. You know what I mean? Respect your elder in the street, especially an elder that's not trying to harm you. You understand?
Absolutely.
If it's an elder that's not trying to harm you, then you would be more perceptive to him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, if you got an elder that's a booty bandit, you already know what time it is.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Now you got to put your guards up. You got an issue.
Straight knife work. Straight up.
Because it got to the point to where even at that age, at 19, 20 years old, we was at a point where we could have did a lot of harm to our elders, man. We could have did some shit to them, man. But we didn't do that. You know, we didn't do that. We didn't embark upon that mission like that, to be getting at them and harming them and those things of that nature. You know?
At what point did you start to develop a deeper consciousness and an awareness of your predicament, where it began to help you raise your consciousness about who you were as a person, where you began to see Jock Lion more in a different light, more less as a criminal, but more as an enlightened being, where you realize you know something was wrong? Because I know we all go through that point of conflict between getting to that point of where we were to now something is, you know, something's not right. It's that clash between your personalities. At what point did it get to you that something I need to start changing stuff?
Yo, that fight right there is real. That fight right there creates PTSD too.
Facts.
And people don't understand that. No, it's serious. Especially, I spent 16 and a half years in special housing units, man. Totally. While in Southport, 3-4 years and shit at a time, your mind consistently works on itself, man. It's them two sides. So with me, it started after an incident that went down. Like I told Mikey B one day, a few days ago, I said, I was the first black dude to go to war against Latin Kings, period, in New York State. Before Black Lion, before Blood, all that.
So what year was that?
That was 1980. That was 90 summer. 90 summer. I got locked up. I went and did the bid in 86. I came home.
So the guards wasn't going to war with them
I went to the bid 85. No. Well, no. Actually, no. No. There was no war against the guards in them yet. No.
It was totally peaceful amongst them?
You got to remember. No, they wasn't really active like that yet.
The guards?
No,
or
the Kings. They didn't get active like that yet.
So when did they actually build up? Like, how was it?
They started building up in 89, man.
89, the year 89?
They started building up in 89, but they kept it quiet and low. They started getting more active in like the end of 89 coming into 90, slowly. The first building they started getting active in was C-76. So I was getting the word from C-76 that these dudes was jumping black dudes, cutting dudes, and all kind of shit. I never ran into none of them, not one of them. The first dude I ran into, I got into an incident with. I heard about what they were doing, what they were building, and all that shit. I had a problem with it because it was all based upon racism. So I had an issue with that. I was already around Bashir. This is years after my learning from Bashir. So I had that militancy embedded in me already. You understand what I'm saying? So I felt the way when I heard what they were doing.
So what did you hear that they were doing for you the first time? What did you hear?
I heard that, you know, they had housing areas over there locked in. When black guys come in, man, they really doing you dirty.
Like what?
Cutting you, stabbing you, beating your ass.
Just for being black?
They was using us to become king. In order to become king, they had to do something to a black dude.
Oh, man. A word?
Yeah. You want to come king? Yeah. All right. That's some work right there. That's some work. That's when I first started hearing about it. I'm like, oh, what? Because I ran across two victims of those initiations, and they told me about it. So by the time I ran into this one guy in C-73, I reacted the way I reacted. I yapped him. He had a herringbone. No, excuse me. He had a Cuban link on that was 225 pennyweights with a piece on it that was about 75 pennyweights, kind of big. I took it from him and dared him to fight. Let's go. What we gonna do? He didn't want to do nothing. He was actually recruiting. This is in commissary of C-73. He was recruiting in commissary. They just kicked him out of the 6 building and sent him to the 3 building. So B was there at the time. He was there in the jail at the time in the 3 building. So after I yapped him, this is in commissary. I yapped him. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to do nothing. The other Puerto Rican dudes that was around him got in his ear. In between the time I yapped him and in between the time I went to go pick out my food. While I'm picking out my food, my items, he snuck up behind me and cut me. I turned around. I jumped over the rail, broke his nose, beat the brakes off of him, and they got both of us out of there. He put me on the enemy list so I could never run into him again. And that's when the shit started. Now my co-defendants is trying to get at him when they run into him. Different other dudes out, I fucked with, that was really tight with, they were trying to get at him. But most of the guys I was really tight with, they already went up north. Because you got to remember, I was on the island from 88 to 91. I stayed on the island 98 to 91, fighting three different one A1 felony and two class B felonies at the time. You know what I mean? And I had like maybe 9 jailhouse cases, slashings and stabbings and shit like that, man.
But how can you say definitively that you were the first one that went to war with them? How do you know that nobody else went to war with
There's
them?
no other history. I'm good with my history, my jailhouse history. Like I tried to figure out who was actively going against them dudes before me, and you can't come up with nobody. Can't come up with nobody. And this was by proxy too, because I decided to act on him because of what I heard, and then it ended up turning into a beef. But the beef it didn't turn into a black against Latino beef. You understand? It didn't turn against black dudes or black guys going against Latin kings on some racism thing. That didn't develop until like the following year, well into the following year. You know what I mean? With Scully and them. Scully and Shower and them was the one who started it like that. But when I was going to war with Gizmo, his name is Giz. That's the guy who cut me. It was more of a personal thing. You understand? Yeah. So it was like my co-defendants, and comrades of my co-defendants and myself. Most of my comrades had went up north already. Dudes that had got there 25 lives, 30 to life, 50 to life. They already went up north already. It was up north. Everybody that was doing the Alameda at that time, they were just coming through or just came through. You know what I mean? And there was no real correlation, no camaraderie between us like that. I know guys, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I knew guys or whatever. We associated, but it wasn't to that degree. Most of my real hitter was already up north already. So it was a small contingency of us going against them, and they were building their numbers fast at that time. Fast.
So were you guys making a concerted effort to fight back against what you saw? Or was it just you guys acting out individually? Were you guys communicating with each other like, yo, man, what's a lot of stuff going on over here? I heard this, I heard that. Yo, man, what's going on over there? Yo, we heard this, we heard that. Was it that type of vibe, or you guys just like operating in your own silos?
Yo, bro, let me tell you something, man. Like, it was very nasty work, man. And it showed, I really learned how separated we were at that point. Again, it was my personal camaraderie that was going against these guys. And compared to them in numbers, it was very low. Their numbers were higher than ours. Like, let me give you an example. I went around the island. I was getting into a lot of shit, man. I was really putting it in on the police, dudes, period, man. And I ended up going to HDM Bing because I heard he was in HDM. I couldn't go to no building he was in through a regular transfer. They wouldn't put me in it because he had me on his enemy list. Okay. So I happened to go to HDM. I was in 1A. I went to the Bing. So now, I don't know if you're familiar with it. In the Bing, you got to go to the visit with a jumpsuit on. From the Bing, walk through population with handcuffs on.
Yeah, they don't do that no more. Well, that building.
That's how it was then.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was very dangerous, man.
Extremely dangerous.
Okay. So I'm going through population with a jumpsuit on and slippers, handcuffed.
Now they lock it down. Now they lock the jails, got the hallways down.
So I ended up running into him on a visit. But before I did that, I sent word to population to some guys I thought was, we put some work in together throughout the last year and a half or whatever. But guys didn't want to get involved with that. That's another thing I learned about some black guys is raised in Latino neighborhoods. They will favor some of the Latinos over you. I grew up around the poppies and them, man, So they kind of slept on what was really going on, you know what I mean? And held their corners. They held their side. I'm going to leave that alone. So I sent word to population for for some weapons, man. Yo, send me something up in this box, in this Bing, man. I need some weapons. I never got a weapon from nobody. Not one person. I got a weapon from my boy, man. Freeze. Freeze came to the box, and I got a weapon from Freeze. And I went on a visit. I seen Giz. I told my girl at the time to get up and leave. I'm about to do something. As she was walking towards the door, I jumped up and got at him on a visit. Got at him on a visit to be met by like 6 Latin kings who started throwing chairs at me when I attacked him. They keep me away from him, man. 6 of these dudes is throwing chairs at me every chair they can find. They were throwing that shit at me, man. Hit me with the chairs, man. To keep me away from Giz, man. You understand?
Yeah.
Police came on the visit. They beat the brakes off of both of us. You know what I mean? Put me back in the Bing. And then co-defendant ran into him later. They got at him. 1 or 2, my man Bar Kim, the guard Bar Kim, and like 3 others got at him a couple times and shit like that. But like I said, it was a personal thing. It wasn't an all-out thing. Black people didn't get involved with it after that. However, the dudes that he was bringing home, they were jumping right into it. Anybody that assisted me, they were trying to get at them too.
Okay.
You understand? So
yeah.
It was a back and forth, little small scrimmages going on. But it didn't turn into an all-out black thing until it was forced upon dudes. You know what I mean? I salute Scully, Shower, and Indian for the concerted effort against them dudes, man, the following year.
Yeah. So what was your relationship with Scully and the comrades you just mentioned?
I never ran into him. I was gone.
Okay.
By the time they got locked up, I was gone. Up north.
So what was it like when you hear about the Black Lions and Scully and them when they hit the island? So you got it in with the Latin Kings. Dudes behind you started getting in. What was the culture like of the Rikers Island at that time with, black dudes and the Latin Kings? What happened? Like, what was going on?
Actually, black dudes minding their business. It ain't my business. That ain't my man's. He ain't from my hood. That's how they became stronger. And that was the time when they really started centering themselves in bases up north, like in Attica, Clinton, Sing Sing. And they was waiting by the time Blood developed and Lions developed, they was kind of waiting up north for everybody to come up. They was already established like 3 or 4 years in already up north. They made it difficult for Bloods and some of the Lions to even go up north. You know what I mean? Especially the Lions at first, because they was the first ones who were putting it in. I was getting word from, some of the colleagues about what was going on down there. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you wasn't down there when the Lions started?
I was gone.
Oh, all right. You already left.
I was up north already. Yeah, I was up north.
So what was it like going up north when you was landing up? What was your first spot when you landed in upstate?
Southport.
Southport? From downstate? So you got busy in downstate with the Latin Kings?
No.
Oh, all right. So
something totally different.
Right.
Yeah, some issue I had with somebody else earlier, maybe like in '89 and shit. And I ran into him and we got it on again. You know what I mean? And they put me in a box, and then they sent me to from there I went straight to Southport.
All right.
I stayed in Southport 3 years.
Oh, 3 years from there. So what year what year you went in when you get out?
I stayed on the island from '88. I went up north in '91.
So you got out of Southport in '94?
I got out of Southport the end of '93, like '93ish, yeah.
All right. So where you went?
I went to Wendy.
Oh, Wendy?
Yeah. That was like a box release at the time. They were sending mad dudes up to Wendy.
Was it Latin Kings there? How'd they go? Like, what was that?
There was no Kings there yet.
No, so this Kings didn't even get there yet.
Nah, they was elsewhere. They was in Attica. They was in Clinton, Comstock. They was in places like that, Elmira. They was building up strong in Attica. In particular. Attica, they were strong, very strong.
So when did you bump into him again? What happened? How did that go?
I never bumped into Son again.
You never bumped into him again?
We never met up in the same jail, none of that.
Do you have any more skirmishes with the Latin Kings? Like, what was going on?
Remember, that was a personal thing.
Right.
I didn't have an issue with Latin Kings. I had an issue with him and those who held him down.
Right.
I didn't make it a Latin King situation. I didn't do that.
Right.
So I did run into other kings, but I never got at them.
Oh, all right. What about so when you came home from that?
I came home from that in 97.
97?
Yeah.
So
88 to 97.
So when did you get down? How did the thing go with the Black Lions? When you embraced that Black Lions?
I never got down with Black Lion. I'm Rasta, so I already felt that I was already a Black Lion. I'm a lion.
So when you turned Rasta?
All Rastas are lions. 1991.
1991? Where? On Rikers Island?
Yeah.
All right.
My big brother Lumumba was the one who actually, me and him been talking for years, man, on the island since like 80, 89. You know what I mean? Rasta talk, you know what I mean? And I took on the spirit of Ethiopia, His Imperial Majesty Ali Selassie Haile Rastafari, through him. He was influential in that. So I really accepted it, you know what I mean, as my enlightenment in 91.
All right.
March 91. February. Right after my birthday, right after my Earth Strong.
So you had already been getting on with the Lion Kings before turning Rasta?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, all right. And so how did the Rasta that culture, the religion, the culture, how did that change the
It's a culture, not religion. Yeah.
It's a culture. How did that change the perception of you as a Black man in America? How did that change?
Good question. With the earlier teachings of Bashir Hamid, and a few others, they already instilled militancy in me already. I already had it in me already. So as a Rasta opened me up more culturally. I was already militarized. Rasta brought culture to me, more of the culture, dealing with the homeland. You know what I mean? Looking back towards Africa. Same thing as Garvey said. You must look towards Africa.
I was about to ask you, so what were some of the first Rasta teachings that you got? What did you learn? Like, what was the information that he gave you to like instill this new culture into you where you're going to take it seriously and be a Rastafarian now as opposed to who Jock always been?
Well, the teachings of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie Haile Rastafari, his whole history, and then equating his history and looking towards the Godhead as a Black man.
Right.
The Godhead as a Black man. I'm already militarized. I know my Black history and all that other things. But as far as the culture and the correlation of a Black man in Africa being the Godhead, because each one of us is spiritual. You know what I mean? It opened up my spiritual eye.
Oh, all right. So what were some of the key things that you learned for the beginning of being Rasta, like that stayed with you from the beginning?
Up until now?
Like some of the key things.
Love.
In what form? We all know love. Like what?
No, the real basis of love.
You knew love before. What was the difference? What different perspective did Rasta give you of love than what you already had?
To love mankind, not to hate. Less hate, more love. Because the hate is the epitome to devilishment, man. Hate is the opposite of righteousness. You know what I mean?
Were you able to effectuate any of those teachings imminently, or did it take some time for you to do so? Because I know you were going to war with various individuals in addition to the Latin Kings, as you mentioned. But how long after you began to internalize the teachings of Rastafari that you began to actually implement them and they began to have an impactful outcome, not only in your life, but it was able to impact the lives of others as well?
I had got deeper into the teachings of His Imperial Majesty, of the Holy Trinity, and the correlation with the Bible, and then my independent studies of the history of Ethiopia and the Trinity. I became more proud to be a black man, in the aspects of being a black man, and so what we're going through in the struggles of being a black man. I learned about the struggles that Rasta was going through in Jamaica. You understand? Like the truths about Rasta in Jamaica. Like in Jamaica, Rastas was being persecuted for being Rasta.
Yes,
they wasn't loved. So, you know, for anybody to tell you something different, they're lying.
They were outcasts.
Yes, in the Jamaican society.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I was able, after learning the history of that myself, I was able to dispel it when I see certain Jamaicans come and use the name of His Imperial Majesty, Ali Selassie Jara Safari, and they wasn't Rasta. It was like it was indicative to them because of them being Jamaican. You know what I mean? But the history showed me something different, the actual history, which was the same in a correlation when it came to Marcus Aurelius Garvey. Jamaicans didn't like him neither, for the most part. You had a lot that supported him, but most did not like him. They didn't support his movement or none of that. This is why he sought the tutelage of an African American by the name of Booker T. Washington.
Washington, yeah.
And he came to America to learn from him.
True.
You know, let's talk about that though. You know what I mean? So yeah, in my independent studies, I learned these things, you know.
That was a conversation that I had with a lot of West Indian brothers who were part of the Lion movement. And what I saw was that they were mutually exclusive in terms of keeping themselves tight-knit, that they only wanted individuals who were considered to be like West Indians, a part of from the Caribbean islands, a part of their movement, primarily from Jamaica. And I understood that, but I said that my in defense, my argument was that, but yet Marcus himself spoke about Pan-Africanism. He's a Pan-Africanist, and he spoke about unity amongst all of us. One,
the diaspora,
and the diaspora, as well as, you know, globally. In addition to that, he was influenced by Booker T. Washington. When he read Up From Slavery, he was inspired by the need for us to own our own lands and us to cultivate the land and so on and so forth. So how can we exclude individuals from being a part of something when Marcus himself did not exclude people from that? So what's your take on that? And do you share similar sentiments with that concept?
Yes, because there's a few reasons why. Again, back to my independent studies, when reading excerpts and certain books that Marcus Garvey wrote himself, the people and books that he read, that he mentioned, I went and read those books as well. And I got a broader understanding of what he was talking about, alluding to, and why he supported certain things, and look towards certain people. Like when he came here, Booker T. Washington had died, so he sought the tutelage of W.E.B. Du Bois. But W.E.B. Du Bois was like a house Negro, and he didn't like Marcus Garvey. You know what I mean? He didn't like his movement and none of that. He didn't want the unity of all black people. I learned all these things. You know what I mean? So he started the movement with him, a few African Americans and Virgin Islands out of New York City. You know, now my personal sentiment to that is this: I learned about the real concept of Pan-Africanism, and I associated with Rasta. There's a strong correlation, very strong correlation between Pan-Africanism and Rastafari. So my studies went more in depth. When I was released from out of the box from all these studies, because I study mostly in the box, I got active in pushing certain things. I got up with my big brother Lumumba and Wendy. We used to build all the time on these concepts. You know what I mean? Number one, we built on tribal situations, Nyabingi, the 12 tribes, Bobo Ashanti. And even to the day, I don't subscribe to no tribe. It's all separatism to me. I don't subscribe to that. When it came to the lions, I came across 2 lions in particular. And from there, I became aware of their movement. The movement that Scully, Shawa, and Indian started, right? I respected them. I still do respect them. But what I got it mixed up at was how I didn't see the inclusion of Rastaman, who was African American. Why do you have to be West Indian in order to be Rasta or accepted as such? This is something I seen and lived while in the pen. When I ran into the elder Rastamen that I knew since the 80s, and they didn't believe in that. If you was Rasta, they respecting you as a Rasta, as long as you keep the penance and the tenants right.
Moshe was just saying that earlier, right, Moshe?
Yeah, I was, and I'm familiar. So I came up in a household where we were taught. Although I'm Muslim now, I came up in a household with my siblings. We were raised as Israelites, so I understand the concept of Rastafarianism from the understanding that there is that correlation between the modern Rastafarians and the ancient people from the tribe of Israel. So I understand that correlation. I understand the history
very much so
from that standpoint. So it was easy for me to be able to have an understanding and awareness of Rastafari, right? So that was just one of the challenges that I questioned some of the individuals who I came in the presence of in terms of their exclusionary policies. And I said, well, this is not consistent with not only the traditional teachings of our predecessors, in this case, Marcus Messiah Garvey, but even before him, right? So I just was speaking about the whole concept of, when we start talking about Pan-Africanism and we're talking about a united front, this can have the impression that this is excluding individuals based on the fact that you were not born in a particular area. And if we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, how can I, because although you may have been born on this island, how can I not say definitively that my people did not go through Jamaica and some of us just happened to find our way over in this part of the hemisphere? So I just feel like we in America have always got the bad end of the stick in terms of being able to connect ourselves to a particular land. And now those that went through the Caribbean islands, they can identify themselves from being in that space because their ancestors remained there. But there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of stuff happening. Our people most slaves went to Brazil. Who's to say we don't have relatives over there from different tribes? So it's a lot of semantics. I just felt like individuals used it for, and I understand it. And like to you, I respect them as well. I just feel like that was just something that I totally disagree with, respectfully. And it was definitely used as a tool to keep us even further divided away from each other.
Exactly.
So no question about
exactly. That. And I had conversations with a few yachtsmen that I know, I'm very close with, on that aspect a few times. I ran into a few lions who had discriminated against other West Indians. You know what I mean? Trinidad, like different West Indians where one man wanted to become, he wanted to be lion, and they didn't want to accept him as so. So my question was, what makes a man black lion? So my concept, in which I've learned is that all Rastas are lions. So can you deny me of being a lion? I understand the movement, Black Lion, the movement against the Latin King. The movement was created to go against oppression. I understand that. But the concepts of the culture of Black Lion was a mix-up for me.
Yeah.
So I never went to anyone, Scully, Shower, neither one of them, which I never ran into any of them, mind you. For some reason, I never ran into any of them in any prison. I decided after seeing discrimination and after seeing another thing, a mixture of the Badman mantra mixed in with Rasta. Like you had some lions I seen who was every word out their mouth was some Badman thing, Tekka thing. I'm a Tekka, I'm a Badman, and all this thing here. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, what are you, a gangster or you Rasta? Which one are you? Like I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
But yet, you talking about oppressing someone who was from a neighborhood on the island of Jamaica that traditionally your particular zone had an issue with his zone.
Yeah.
And you still holding that up and you say you Rasta, to me that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, respectfully. Yeah.
That was a problem for me. That's one of the problems. The other problem, as I said, they was discriminating against a particular Rastaman who was African American in my face. Confused me. I'm Rasta. I seen somebody else go through it. I was better with it than him because I came up in the prison system around Rastas from the 80s. They know me. I came up with Jamaican Badman from the 80s. They know me. So it was easier for me because of the familiarity. You understand? With him, he didn't come up the same way I did. So it was more, they accepted me a little bit better, a little faster. I'm able to talk the patois. I know the patois. I understand it. All that. I know the culture from all the islands. So what I decided to do is I decided to create an organization that represented us all, the whole entire diaspora. So I created Rebirth Black Lion. It wasn't a slap in Scully face. It wasn't meant to be a slap in Shower face or none of them. I bigged them up. I rate them for what they did. What I was doing was creating something that I felt was missing as Rasta, as a Muslim would do, right? Muslims, they pray in what?
What do you mean?
When a Muslim pray, what language do they pray in?
Oh, in Arabic.
Right. So we Rasta, who do we look? What land do we look towards? We don't look towards Jamaica.
Look towards Ethiopia.
Right. We praise who? His Imperial Majesty Ali Selassie Jah Rastafari. From Africa. As a Pan-Africanist, what did Garvey say? Where did he say look to?
Look to the east. Look to the Ethiopia. Yeah.
So let's keep it right. So I decided to create an organization that represented that. So in that organization that I created, I brought in my first digits mat. I utilized the language of Ethiopia, Amharic.
Amharic, yes.
I taught myself that language in the box. I learned the culture in the box. Now I included it, meshed it into the Rebirth Charter. So instead of calling myself a Black Lion, I'm calling myself a Tekor and Besa. In the Ethiopian tongue, that's Black Lion. Tekor, Black, Lion, and Besa. Very influential throughout the state. Very influential among the Rasta. Every jail I went to, the Rasta Monday, yo, bless him, my brother. Love that.
Yeah, my boy Debbie D, man, was one of my,
He
shout out
told
to
me. He always talk about you.
Yeah,
And he
my
told me to
brother.
salute you too. He told me to salute you.
That's my guy.
That's my brother right there, man. It's my brother, man.
That's my first in the lineup, man.
Yeah, that's my brother right there.
You know, yeah. Some people would say, yo, he started a gang. No, it wasn't a gang because of the generals aspect. I had generals. So, no, I just utilized. If you know the history of the Imperial Master Haile Selassie Haile Rastafari, you knew that he was the first king who was able to consolidate the warlords. The first king was able to consolidate all the warlords in Ethiopia into one army. No other king did that in Ethiopian history. So I mimicked it. I mimicked his army. So I gave my kings the name. I gave my my generals the name of the generals in which it was under his Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie. We are Jah soldiers. We are Selassie soldiers. So, you know, I named my 5-star general Adijis Math, which in Ethiopia means 5-star general. 4-star general, Garage Mat. It kind of got mixed up in translation with a lot of the lions, where it got to like a little jealousy situation going on. But one thing I never did, and a lot of jails I've been to, people can attest to it. Mikey was in a few with me. I never discriminated against Black Lion, never. Those were my brothers.
I mean, when I was around you, you didn't even know there was any difference, though. It was like, it was a
Those were my brothers.
It was a seamless, it was no bad energy. Everything was just regular. Like we was in Elmira, everything was just regular. We was all there, you pulled up, and everything, you know, you was already, you know, family. You know, the rosters, we was all roster. And, you know, that's when I really, when you got there, that's when I really, around, I was 03.
Yes.
That's when I really embraced roster.
With me, yes. You came with me.
That's when I really
the
embraced
roster service
roster.
and everything.
That's when I really
You
embraced
used to come to
roster.
roster service with me.
But before that time, I was really, you know, confused with religion. But amongst that time, 03, we had a great squad.
We used to build.
There.
We used to build.
We had a great squad there. Though Gungali, you know,
Gungali,
Clippy,
yeah.
you had Electra there.
Yep.
You know, you
Exactly.
had Mandul in church and roster with us. We had a crazy, you know, Germs, all of them.
Yes.
The Stony Germs was there with us. So we had a
Salute
lot of
the
good
Germs.
guys. Salute the Germs.
Yo, shout out to Germs, man.
Yeah, shout out to Germs back in Jamaica, man. But
and shout out to all the brothers that got
shout out to all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Scully, my big bro, man.
All my brothers, that's the big man. Bro, you heard?
Absolutely.
But I was just happy, like all of us was in the roster church. Man, you know, have man, yeah, man. I got a picture with all of us. Me, man, do as far as the homies that was in roster, because a lot of prisons, you know, other prisons that I had been to, certain homies, if you roster and you blood,
it was an issue.
You ain't gonna go. They like, yo, nah, unless you certain individuals, you not going to a roster church and you blood. So for us being blood at that time, you know, we was all big homies. We was all official. Some of us had Caribbean backgrounds like myself. You know, Payne. You know, certain of us had Germs. He's Jamaican, so they not gonna deny him because he's from Jamaica. They know, so they not. But certain homies that wasn't really Jamaican, wasn't, you know, you couldn't really go to roster services if you ain't had that, you know, that stamp from certain rosters.
Even deeper than that.
You know, they will put you on a call out.
Not to cut you off, but even deeper than that. In a lot of jails, a lot of the blood discriminated against roster, period.
You said bloods or rosters?
Blood. No, blood. I'm telling you from experience.
Like what you mean?
Like what I mean is this. If like when I came into a few jails where there was no Jamaicans that were blood in particular. A lot of Jamaicans that was blood, they would defend Jamaicans if issues went on between blood. You have some blood that was very oppressive, bro, where they was extorting certain dudes.
Right.
I came across it a few times.
So extorting Jamaicans, rosters?
Rosters, period. Jamaicans, rosters, they was extorting dudes. Dudes get a little weed on the visit and shit like that. They pressing them.
Right.
Come on, let's be for real.
Right.
You get that bag, we're gonna press them.
Right.
You're not doing that. I changed that shit, bro. Literally. But I did it under the guise that people don't even realize I did it. Any jail I went to, if you notice, before I got there, dudes wasn't going to roster service. Dudes started going to roster service after I got to those jails. And it's a history in line with that. I influenced a lot of things quiet.
True.
Even amongst Black Lion.
That's true.
I taught them how to speak Amharic.
That's true, though. That's true. That's true.
Now they're greeting themselves with Takora and Bessa. It wasn't doing that before.
Yeah, that's true.
And I enforced the teachings of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie's language, lingo.
So
it made it closer to the culture.
Now that we on a conversation on the topic of the relationship of Jamaicans or Rastas and blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit to the 90s when the blood, the movement was being built. What effect did Rasta Lions have on the culture of Damu?
Well, from my understanding is that Damu had started in Black Lion started in 1990 into 1991, right? So the first ones to go to war against the Latin Kings, and I used to call them Queens, but Latin Kings and Nieta. So by the time Blood developed, they already had relationships with guys individually before they were Blood.
Right.
So now they became Blood. The influence of the group thing together, fighting together as a unit,
right,
was influential amongst Blood.
All right. But like certain spots that dudes couldn't be in, they was held down by, like, I'm talking about Bloods. They couldn't, the Latin Kings, like you said, they already had the strongholds in the jails advanced before the homies built up.
Right.
Because the Latin Kings was here before, on the East Coast, before actual Bloods was on the East Coast.
Right.
Right. So what influence did you think have Rastas, and if you know any pertinent parts of Jamaicans and neutrals or Jamaicans and Rastas Lions holding down Bloods, and what's that relation? Because don't get me wrong, a lot of the slang, eat food, was all Jamaican. That came from Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? Which is like a thing from the Bloods. They took that, and eating food was a thing that, that's like real Blood slang, but dudes don't know that came from Jamaicans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of the slang came from the Lions. It came from the Jamaicans.
A lot of slang came from the Jamaicans and also came from hip hop culture.
Yeah, hip hop culture, but it was Jamaicans though. That wasn't a part of hip hop culture before.
No, I'm gonna give you an example.
Eat the food was Jamaican.
Let me give you an example. These evil streets are rough. There's no one we can trust.
Oh yeah, I mean
that came from Panama PI.
Yeah,
that's hip hop.
Right.
But it still doesn't matter.
How about some hardcore Bloods like it raw?
You
That's
understand?
MOP.
Yeah. So I'm right.
Yeah, it's
a mixture.
It was encoded. It was encoded into a lot of the slang and the roll call and all that stuff. I know that.
So now to answer your question, in particular, I remember seeing the Kings being so strong. I was in Sing Sing. I came down from Windy. I was in Sing Sing for a time. Me and Soul B came down from Windy. We was in Windy together too, in Lumumba, right? The big bro.
In Sing Sing?
Yeah, Sing Sing.
What year?
This was 9-4. 9-4 where it came down, 9-4, 9-5-ish. And the Kings were settled there. There was a lot of them there. So I noticed like every time a Blood come into the jail, they were slaughtering them, man. We watching this like, the fuck is going on, man? We were slaughtering them. Outnumbered, they was not allowing them come into the jail at all. And I'm hearing it was reverberating around the state. It was happening in Attica, Comstock, Great Meadows. It was happening all over, Elmira. And then I had got some information also that a lot of the bros, man, that wasn't affiliated to anything, to nothing at all, assist Bloods into staying in those jails safe, coming into the jails and staying safe. One case in point. Soul B, Corey King came to Sing Sing, and I didn't really know him like that at the time. Soul B had sent word over from A block to B block that Corey King, yeah, Sing Sing, that Corey King had came and he's in the 5 building, and that he needed us to hold him down. So what we did was, me, Lumumba, we got up with a few of our other bros that was like, some Muslims that was militant that we knew we was tight with,
Right.
very tight. A couple of neutrals that was tight, and some of the Rastas that was with us. Not in particular Black Lion, but Rastaman. You know what I mean? They were militant. And we band together. And me and Lumumba, we stepped to the Latin Kingdom. And we kind of gave them an ultimatum. We told them, like, the next black dude you hit in here, we're getting rid of all of you. From that point in time, Corey King and every other blood was able to come into Sing Sing safe. From that point. Now, blood got hit after that. So the blood was able to build up and catch up on their numbers. Then Sing Sing.
What year was that?
I believe that was 9-5.
9-5. You know, I think in 9-7, Gunga Lee and all of them got us something with the Latin Kings there. Gunga Lee, Wildcat.
Yes, I heard about that.
Jamaican Rambo, Gunga Lee, aka Gunga Lee.
Rambo, yeah.
Wildcat, Sleepy, they both were Spanish. And Hamo.
But you got to remember,
y'all was gone.
And they was already built up. They already been built up there. They already settled in and everything. That started over some other stuff. I'm not really privy to. But it wasn't the issue of them stopping them from coming there.
So, but Corey King was good.
Corey King was good. Came out to the yard, looking kind of weary a little bit. Told him, "You good, homie?" He settled in. He came in with, I think, maybe 2 or 3 other bloods too. It wasn't just him. It was like 2. I don't know their names. Soul B would know them. You know, but it was particularly for Corey King and for black people, period. We use that to saying you're not hitting nobody else black in here, man, without an answer to that.
Another thing on the topic. What about the neutral Dominicans and Spanish that was also being oppressed by the Latin Kings? Did they join up with the Rastas? Because, you know, and from my experiences,
give me a drink for that.
All right, from my experiences, I'm gonna ask you when you come back. Go ahead, real quick. We got Jay Renee in the building. Jay Renee, you there? Yo, Mo. Yeah, we got Jock on a brief intermission, and we're gonna take some questions when he come back. We got Jay Renee in the building right now.
Yeah,
our sisters, let them know we got Prison Riot Radio. Jay Renee in the building. She's gonna give us a quick update on what's going on the front lines out there.
All right, what's up, good brothers? It's always a pleasure to see you.
It's always a pleasure
to share the space with y'all. So I'm gonna give 3 things. All right. So the first thing that I want to give is a major update about the hunger strike that was going on in Red Onion, that is in Virginia. Okay, we had the revolutionary brother Kevin Rashid Johnson. He was leading that charge. Him and about 7 other men started a hunger strike the day after December 25th. That'd be the 26th. They started that hunger strike. Since then, our brother is still on hunger strike. They took him to court trying to find him incompetent so they could force feed him. He was shown not to be incompetent. So that should show, just how desperate and how serious what's going on there is, that he is willing to put his life on the line for this. Since the 26th, that's definitely a long time. The things that are going on up there in Red Onion, has been reports of abuse based in racism and things like that. Brother Rashid, he's definitely a highly politicized prisoner. He always, wherever he goes, if something's going on, he's there to expose it. And as you know, the system doesn't like that type of thing. So he's oftentimes, there's things going on against him. The major thing that's going on with him that makes this very pressing and an emergency is he is dying of cancer. At a time they were keeping him from his care, trying to kill him pretty much. He had it. No one told him that he had it. And then they started playing around with his care. When they transferred him to Red Onion up there is no facilities there that can accommodate him. And what he's asking for, part of the hunger strike, was to be put somewhere in a better position to where he can get the care that he needs. If not, he's definitely going to, this is definitely going to be something that's fatal to him. So that brother definitely needs our support. They are asking that we reach out to. One second, let me get y'all straight here. I'm gonna tell you what they're trying to ask us to reach out to. It is a man by the name of Chadwick Dodson. He's the director of Virginia Department of Corrections. Anybody that wants that information so they'll be able to assist that brother, y'all can reach out to me by text. All you have to do is text Rashid and I'll send the information right to you. I'll also put it down in the chat. The number that you'll reach out for that is 914-655-4993. 914-655-4993. Text Rashid and I'll send that information right to you. Okay, I went to an event today down in North Carolina. Some brothers there, they're changing and shaping the reentry program for people that are getting out of the prisons there in North Carolina. It was a second anniversary. It was bigger than the first one. They're doing major things. It's called Our Journey. Okay, you can reach them. I'm also going to put this info in the chat. It's Our Journey 2, the number 2, and then gather.com. And they are supplying these they're helping. So some brothers got out in North Carolina and they seen a trend that there was really nothing that was helping people to reintegrate, and it was causing recidivism and things like that, and just people having a hard time. So these brothers came together and said, okay, what can we do about it? So they came up with Our Journey together, and they're getting major support from different political parties, different organizations and stuff like that. They even have it to where they assist with getting ID cards, assist with financial things. If you need somewhere to stay, they're making it to where when you get out, you're not lost, even if you don't have anybody. Okay, so if you want that information, if you're in the North Carolina area, you can definitely reach out. Just text that same number, 914-655-4993, and put Our Journey, and I'll make sure that information gets straight to you. So I got some great information.
Hold on, my dear sister. You said 914 what?
655-4993. Sorry if I'm going fast.
Nah, no worries, sister.
I just want to
make sure so I can put the correct information
Sure.
into the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so I definitely want to end this beat on some awesome news. There was a brother that we got to interview a year ago. His name is Myron Brooks. He had been locked up for 27 years. This makes the 28th year. I got to record with him twice and put out the information, and I was pushing just what he said happened to him, that he was wrongfully convicted. He reached out to me, I want to say, the beginning of this week, and he told me that he had an evidentiary hearing, which would have took place yesterday. And he was very thankful. He was like, man, you helped me get this out there, and and it's working. He got his day to be back in front of the judge. So of course I want to reiterate that we're the ones that are going to have to reach in and help our people. We're the ones that are going to have to make sure their stories get circulated so that people can come home. He's been locked up for almost 30 years, and to be able to get a chance for somebody to really just listen to him and get him back in front of a judge, I think is a major achievement. So we got to make sure that we do our part so these brothers and sisters can get their fair share when it comes to getting things rectified. So that's what I got, brothers.
Yo, thank you, our beautiful sister.
Thank you.
And listen, make sure you guys subscribe to our sisters' YouTube channels, Prison Riot Radio. This here is our sister Jay Renee. As you guys see, she's on the front line, making sure that she's exposing a lot of the injustices that's taking place with our sisters and brothers who are still behind the wall, people who do not have people on the outside, but those of us who are representing us. Our sister here is doing everything she possibly can to be the voice of the voiceless, and we have to do our jobs. I mean, if we understand the system, and we know without people being there to support individuals, we know that people will be oppressed, they will be killed. We know what happened behind those prison walls. So we need to be on the front line with our sister to support her and to support the brothers and sisters behind the wall who unfortunately are being mistreated and dehumanized. So thank you so much, sister. We love you.
You're most welcome. I love y'all back. And y'all doing amazing things. Y'all always make me so proud. I appreciate it.
Rise up, sister. Appreciate you.
Y'all know the sisters, we locked in, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Jay Renee, Prison Riot Radio. Prison Riot Radio. You know what I'm saying?
Please
put your link in the chat, Jay Renee, so we can we can post it and let everybody subscribe to the channel.
Yes. Thank you. And for the record, you guys will be seeing Jay. She will be popping up. Whenever we have our episodes and we have information that is pertinent to our brothers and sisters on the inside. So again, you will be seeing Jay. So be on the lookout for her.
Right. She's a part of, we locked in. She one of us. So it is what it is. Make sure y'all, subscribe to her channel and like, share, and subscribe, man. We locked in. We got Jock Lion up here, brief
facts.
So we had a brief intermission. Now we back. The question I was asking Jock, after this question, we're gonna take a couple of questions. If you got more questions, Mo, we can ask some questions, and then we're gonna end it because we 2 hours and 22 minutes in right now. The question I asked
I'm still doing this work right.
I know you're doing that thesis. I know you're putting that work.
Good, bro. It's all good, bro.
But that's a link right there. Prison Riot Radio, Jay Renee. Make sure y'all go subscribe right there. G'd up Quinn. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pin that comment. I'm gonna try to pin that for y'all right now. So y'all can get Jay Renee. But Jock, the question I have for you was encountering, knowing the oppression that the Latin Kings not only oppress black people, but they oppress Dominicans, Mexicans, other Puerto Ricans. Did any of those brothers, did you encounter any of those brothers? Did they join forces with y'all to go against the Latin Kings? Like, what was that? What was that like for the Spanish neutral brothers? How were they getting along if they weren't a part of the gangs? I know some people sided with the Latin Kings that were neutral, but I know some people that ran with me, Spanish brothers that ran with me, they sided with us against the Latin Kings due to their oppression as well. So give us some background on that, please.
I had this one guy, right, named Puerto Rican True. Puerto Rican True was a terror on the island, 88, 89, and 90, terror. He went to war with me against Gizmo. He was one of the brothers I told you that I had a couple dudes that was with me going to war against them. He was one of them.
What was his name?
True.
Oh, Puerto Rican True. Where was he
True
from?
God. From the Bronx.
Oh, he was God body?
From the Bronx, 183rd.
He was God?
He was God, but he wasn't the true and living because he was a wild fucking boy, man.
Oh, he was a renegade God.
Yes, exactly. Super renegade. Super. He didn't do the racism thing though. He was totally against that. They caught up with him in Attica though and did him filthy, man. They almost killed him in Attica though.
Oh, word?
Yeah, when he went up north, they almost killed him in Attica, man. There was maybe like 2 other Spanish dudes and Puerto Ricans that I kind of grew up with in the prison that didn't side like that with them. They was with me, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Now I had a couple of brothers like that myself. GQ from Manhattan. He was a Puerto Rican brother that was going. They oppressed him at one time. He got into one with them. He was running with us.
It's because of their mind state. Them dudes don't play the racism thing, and they didn't like that. They didn't really like that in particular. I'm not with the racism thing. Once you hear one of them say that, they automatically the enemy.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, automatically the enemy.
And I think just from what I had learned, it was different from some Puerto Ricans that were raised separately from black people were different from the ones that was like in Brownsville, like the Papa Jots, and the certain ones that was just raised with, everyday black guys. I think it was a different connection. I think it was different. Like maybe a dog and a cat getting raised together.
Yeah.
I'm not saying our people as dogs or cats, but just to use the analogy of that. But a lot of them was running with us. A lot of them became homie as well. When I was homie, a lot of Dominican homies, a lot of Spanish homies.
I've seen that happening.
Yeah, a lot.
I remember one incident I had. I got locked up. I was in the Beacon in '99. I was in the Beacon, and Latin King. I think he was the first crown of the state. His name was Trouble. Little skinny Trouble. He came down from up north. And he was causing a whole lot of problems, man. They put him in C95. He was influencing the Kings, the Hit Bloods, and all that shit, man. I'm talking about mass hittings. He was like having houses of Kings hitting Bloods, you know. And they kicked him out of 95, sent him to the Beacon. When he came to the Beacon, I was asked a favor to get at him.
Mm.
All right, from a kid named Two Guns, blood kid named Two Guns. He was, you know,
I know Two Guns.
That was my boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he said, "Yo, big homie, man, you run into this dude, this, that, and the third." I'm like, all right. And the shit was crazy. He asked me to do that, and the next day they bring this dude in my housing area with like 3 other kings. They brought him into my housing area. They said, "That's dude trouble." I was like, that. I said, "Yo, this dude talked this dude right up on me, man." They brought him in the house. I end up cutting him up. I cut him up. We got it the rest of him. I cut him up personally. And I broke Jim Star off on him on both sides. You know what I mean? They kicked me out of C95. I mean, out of the Beacon and sent me to C95. When I get to C95, now you already know how C95 set up, man. There's about 200-300 of them dudes over there, Latin Kings. I get over there and I get into the bullpen. I'm in the bullpen with like 30 kings. Me and my little man, he was blood. Because blood popped what it was Black Lion, it was the Rebirth Lions, and some bloods that did that to trouble in the Kings. So when they sent me and him, only me and him, everybody went to different buildings. They sent me and him to C95. I was in the bullpen with me and him was in the bullpen with 30 Kings. They was rallying up to get at us. And this one king out of that whole group said, "Nah, what the fuck y'all doing?" So I'm like, "What?" The dude said, "Yo, Jock." He said my name. I'm like, "Who the fuck is this dude calling my name?" I said, "Jock, big bro." It was literally a Puerto Rican kid that I raised in HDM in 1988, man.
Oh, wow.
Who became king, but he's not racist. It was weird to me. And he walked up on me. I didn't remember him because he got so big. He got really big. You know what I mean? Big Head Hector. I think So B know him. Big Head Hector. Heck came up to me. He was like, "Yo, ain't nothing happening to you, man." I said, I ain't worried about it. He's like, "Nah, but ain't nothing happening. Y'all niggas fall back." That's what he told him. You know what I mean? So that's an example of it. You know what I mean? He went against his own people because I hit their first crown. You know what I'm saying? And he told them to fall back from that, which got him in some trouble. You know what I'm saying?
On that topic, another question I got. Then we're gonna take questions from the chat. Knowing that you help, certain Damus, big homies, support the role of Damus, got good comrades that's Damu. Seeing the oppression that came out of the Damu movement after the first generation, when dudes really got their power, and seeing prison, because you was in prison. When the last time you was in prison?
I came home in 2008.
2000. So you ain't been back since 2008.
I've been home.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
I went back for a short stint one time.
All right.
But I can't. Yeah.
All right. So from 2008, because it was still going on then. It had already started.
Yes.
By then. How did that make you feel, like the work you put in to help dudes and help the homies be in these prisons, and black guys, the work you put in? How did you feel? How did that make you feel? Like the oppression that you see from the Damus in prison now, as opposed to how it was before, and the work that you put in. Like, what's your
good
outlook?
question?
What's your outlook of that?
It made me feel disgusting. I felt disgusting. Like, remember, we come from a militancy that was like almost mandatory at one time. You know what I mean? The Damu movement was started as a militant movement. The Damu movement was started as a militant movement, and they converted into, to me, a movement where the lesser than the weaker men was able to manipulate so terribly their personal feelings and things of that nature. The femininity was all mixed into it, where they actually went to war against their own people. They became oppressors. Even the people they fought against started looking at them like kind of crazy, like, "Yo, every time a black man come in here, y'all oppressing them. Can't get on the phone, robbing them from commissary." When these dudes is not doing that to their people.
Right.
So how you think they're looking at you? Number one, as a black man, forget about blood. But as a black man, what are you doing this to your people? So when me looking at that, a few times I almost got into some things with blood. Because I'm not one to stand around and go for oppression. I don't care who it's against.
Right.
You know? One time, the little homie, Jungle, I was on a boat, and Jungle had got locked. He went home and came. He got locked back up. He was on the boat, and I was in the house, and a white blood came into the house. Blue-eyed, blonde hair, blood. To my blood. He said, I got next on the phone. I said, you ain't got next on that phone, bro. I got next on that phone. Well, I don't know who you are. He said, I'm blood, man. I'm like, yo, I don't care about none of that, bro. Me personally, I'm looking at him like he's an oppressor that's waving a flag of a black man. I'm like, yo, what is this? What are they doing? And he's literally oppressing. I seen him punch another black dude in the face over some shit and call the dude a nigga. I'm twisted. So I go to the guy who run the house. I told him, I said, yo, he got one time to act up and he's out of here. And whatever happened after that is going to happen. God told us to felt away. So he told the blood who had the boat at the time. And I go to the yard. You know me, I went to the yard. Guess who's in the yard that he went to tell that to?
Oh.
Jungle.
Oh. What year was this? After we was all together?
That's when after I came home. I told you I got locked up that time.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So what year is that?
That was like 2012, 13.
Oh yeah, that's way after we was all together. Yeah.
Something like that. 12, 13.
Yeah.
And he went and told Jungle, yo, this dude talking gangster shit and all this shit. Hey, so what you talking about? He said him right there, the dread. Like, nah, that's the big bro. Y'all niggas crazy. So I told him what was going on. He's like, nah, I know you ain't going for that, man. He told him to fall back. You know what I mean? That's why, I kind of hold certain Damu dear to heart because they wasn't on no oppressive shit. You know what I mean? I never seen him on oppressive shit. That's why I kind of took to you that way that I did when I first met you in person. Because I observed you like I do everybody, and I didn't see that. And then I embraced you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I didn't see that in you, that new oppressive mindset.
Right.
That's going on now of your own people, man.
Right.
But it's a nasty thing, very nasty. Self-oppression.
Right.
And the general public look at that now, which is terrible.
Right.
The general public, most black people look at blood as being an oppressive organization.
Right. I mean, for the most part, it is. You got to tell the truth. You can't, regardless to what, you know what I'm saying? It lost original attention like a lot of other gangs and a lot of other nations, and the original purpose for it. Once it beat and won the war from what it was going at, the whole means of the thing just changed. Power corrupts. We got a lot of dudes up here that was leaders, and I asked them. They flipped on each other, started shooting each other.
Yes.
And I'm asking these questions like, did the power corrupt you? Like, what did it? You know what I'm saying? I'm. Don't get me wrong.
That's an honest question too.
I ask a lot of these questions as a sounding board. Sometimes I'm asking myself because I was into a lot of that too. And don't get me wrong, I might not have went to the extent because I really wasn't a politician, and I don't got all those wars against my own people. I don't have those. Did I end up getting the conflicts? Of course. Did I do things? Of course I did. But on a level that these dudes is like totally like, it wasn't like a skirmish or every now and then something happened and you got to defend or you got to ride for a homie or one of your brothers or something. That's different than that's like your whole reason for even being here of destroying your people. It's like your whole reason that you got this gang is to destroy your people. You know what I'm saying?
What are you blood for? Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was just something that was big for me. And
that's honorable.
Embracing Rasta. And like you said, love and one love, and getting the behind the scenes information of Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, understanding, you know what I'm saying? Lord God is a living man, and some of the things that Rasta, the Trinity, and it's two different factions where some say God is the flesh, is the black man in the flesh, and then you got the other brothers talking, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and some Rastas don't believe that.
Right.
Some Rastas believe, you know what I'm saying? As Rastas, this is how we come and build, reason. We reasoning.
Always reasoning.
Yeah, when we reasoning though, this is the reasons we come. And when you get around the, we've been to all the spots, so I get the real,
all the big men.
40 years, the 30 years, the ones that's in the cases. I know all the rosters, so I'm getting the real information from the real. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's different. It's different information, and like you said, I think having a black God, you know what I'm saying, a living flesh God. That's what Bob kick. And what a lot of people don't understand and know is, in a Rasta faith, really, Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley is prophets. They're like prophets to the Rasta faith. They're prophets.
They're heightening the awareness of Rasta.
Heighten awareness. And I think Bob Marley, and that's why they killed Bob Marley. I think they killed him with that cancer they put on him. And some days he said somebody came out with that stuff and saying that he actually did it. But I don't know. That's another, that's a whole nother conspiracy theory. But
it really is.
But what he was kicking, as far as pushing a Rasta faith and stopping that belief in a black God, that went throughout the peoples and stretched. And you got to remember, just from Bob Marley's music, it's a lot of white Rastas across the world that
and in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, and no, but across the world too. Yeah, Canada, everywhere though. England, but a lot of them embrace the Rasta faith strictly first from encountering Bob Marley's music.
That's right.
So it's power in the music, and they understood that, I think, a long time ago, bro. And this is why they changed.
And another thing that Bob did was he didn't conform to tribes.
Right.
Ayabingi, like I told you, I don't do.
Right.
Ayabingi, Bobo, Ashanti, although I respect those men, respect all Rastaman, but I personally don't adhere to tribal situations.
Nah, I mean,
dealing with Rasta.
No.
It creates conflict.
I mean, when I embraced the Rasta culture, I never got that anyway. I never wanted that. I understood, I've been in the reasonings. You got Naya Bingi tribe, 12, you got all that. But just some of the questions. Before we take some questions, you got anything you want to actually say, like to build on?
Yes. The primary thing I want to build on is I want to say to all the listeners that at a time, man, I pumped and promoted violence to its highest heights. I don't do it no more. I've been stopped doing it. My life and what I've been through is an example of what I don't want others to go through. Times has changed. So is the conditions, the circumstances, and everything else. I beg for the youth to take on responsible elders, man, and learn from them so you won't make the mistakes, man. To learn is to empower yourself. Who's best to learn from those who went through the trials and tribulations?
Right.
And I mean that dearly. As a Rasta, like, again, there's one love. I'm able to go to the other side, though, in defense of myself. But that's only really in the defense of myself. However, I push love, humbleness, and sanctity. Respect the elders. Because if you don't, what you propagate, you will become a victim of it once you get elder, once you become an elder. Remember that. There's no crying later on what you create now. Respect your elders, learn from them, better yourself.
We're gonna take some questions at this time. I got some questions starred. Let me see. All right. Is this true? Jock squashed the smoke with R.I.P. Fox and Domination?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you squat. So how did that go? How did that go?
That was kind of crazy. I came home and I met Domination through a mutual friend. And Smurf got deported. Bangor Smurf got deported to Trinidad. And I got after meeting Domination, he gave me a call one day. He asked me to come over. I came over to the house or whatever, and he went on YouTube. I'm not even familiar with YouTube at the time. I'm just coming home after all these years, like a decade. So he goes on YouTube and he showed me a video with Fox and with Maserati and G Baby. They in the video waving guns, threatening him and all kind of stuff. I was particularly mad at Fox for doing that. You too old to be on YouTube with these dudes, these young dudes, waving these guns around, threatening people like that. You bucking. So I took Domination by myself over to Bimmy's brother lounge. Bimmy's brother Joe had a
salute to Joe.
Salute to Joe. He had a lounge over on 109 in Farmers. So I took Domination over there. I heard that Fox was over there with these dudes. So I took him over there. We get there, we walk through the front door, Fox right there in the doorway. I ain't see Fox in quite a while.
Right.
Fox come up under me. Fox hugged me. Me and him the same height. We're about 6'3".
Right.
We hug each other or whatever. He looks over my shoulder and sees Damo. I felt his body tense up like, oh, what the fuck? So I had to whisper in his ear. I'm like, that's my little man, man. You're not doing that. That's what I'm here to talk to you about. Joe sent us downstairs. We go downstairs. We talk a little while. I want to get into the particulars. We talked a little while.
Right. Yeah,
Fox respected it, fell back. G Baby and them came downstairs after the conversation, thinking shit was still hot. Domination basically approached G Baby, told him to cross the line. G Baby never crossed the line. I left it alone at that. We bounced, left it like that, man.
Oh, all right.
That was a wrap. But no one else was able to stop Fox from doing that shit, though.
Okay. So we got that one answered. What about hold on. Did you know Big Ball from Albany PJs?
Yes, of course. Definitely. We did time together from adolescents.
Oh, all right.
And adults, yeah.
That was from Arc G.
Yeah.
B. Baker. So Corey King did get beat up for you or not or no?
Corey King was too young, man. Corey King was an adolescent. Corey King was an adult. That was an adult situation.
Oh, all right.
All right. So that was like an exaggeration to me.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right. Salute to Corey King.
Salute to the little homie.
Are you familiar with the Ballies from Brownsville, PJs, Big Wop and Rodney?
The who? Say it again.
The Baileys.
Yeah.
The Ballies.
Yeah. The Baileys. Yeah. For me, I was locked up with two of them.
All right. What about was any you was locked up with Mac Murder?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, I know Mac.
Yeah,
Mac's a good dude, man. I respect Mac.
We got a history together.
Salute to Mac.
Free Mac Murder. My nephew is out of control from Bville E. My nephew is out of control. What advice would you give him before he winds up a statistic? Because he's watching you speak to, please. How old is your nephew? How old is your nephew, Bville E?
Is he in Brownsville?
He in Brownsville, Bville E?
Yeah, how old is he?
He 26?
He 26? Is he in Brownsville?
He in the city? He in the city, Bville? Yeah, he in the city.
He got kids?
I think he in Brownsville in the city.
He got kids?
What would you speak to that?
He better live his life for his kids, man. Not for his homies and reputations and shit, man. That shit get you caught up or killed, man. It's not about that, man. There's nothing into that, man. Live that shit, man. Trying to build a reputation over violence and stupidity, man. Ain't nothing. That shit don't mean nothing, man. Live for your kids, man. Do what you're doing and put it all into your kids, man. Put it into your kids, man. Create a paradigm for yourself. You don't need the goofiness, man. You don't need to be around no goofiness. That means that, you know, dudes who's living their life of everything else other than their kids, man. Uplift yourself. Nothing wrong with being uplifted or uplifting yourself, man. That's strength. That's real power, man.
I don't know, you know, what he really caught up in, but a lot of this stuff don't even count, bro.
Yeah, for real, bro.
A lot of this stuff we caught up in these coaches, bro. What I try to lead me as a guide, what I try to use to lead me as a guide is the success of my elders, my grandparents, how they lived a good life. They didn't have all the Gucci and all the stuff that we got now. And they had a great life. You see what I'm saying? We caught up in a lot of stuff. We get caught up in social media and a lot of stuff that don't even count. A lot of this stuff don't even count. These names and all this stuff.
In real life.
Taking care of your family. These are the number one things. They pushing us away from the real order, the natural order of life that we supposed to be focusing on. You see what I'm saying? We get caught up in the social media stuff, and we really supposed to, like, my grandparents, they didn't have no designer. Nothing designer, bro. They took care of us in Queens, their own self. They took care of their grandkids because my father wasn't around, their son. They took care of my family back in Jamaica for their whole life. For their whole life. My whole life, until they died a few years ago, they took care of their whole family, bro. They took trips. They had houses. They had cars. They didn't have no designer. So we really got to realign how we live in our lives.
Like
you
I
see what I'm
said,
saying?
create a paradigm.
It's creating a paradigm, but we forcing our kids in the culture to react a certain way from how we move. If we wearing Gucci, if we wearing certain stuff, then we making our kids in the next generation say, all right, I got to have these things to be somebody, to be I seen this in my family. I seen this play out from kids coming on the floor begging a hole of money and to do certain things that I didn't do as a kid. That's because of when the generations changed, our standards and our morals changed. You know what I'm saying? Those things changed as well. So I think we need a heavy dose, bro, of looking to the past, to our elders and how they lived their lives. My father, you know, he went to Howard University, living a good life. He had one pair of jeans. He had work clothes, but he used to have his good time, blow his little weed or whatever he was doing, but he had lived a good life. He had a bunch of cars, Porsches, Beamers, didn't sell no drugs, never sold drugs in his life, had a good job, a good education, got a scholarship. So I try to get my mind out of the criminal aspect of how we live in a fast life and really realign my life with how the elders really did good in this world without all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That superficial stuff that don't really count at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? I can use my money. I could be up here without a Nike. I could have a Balenciaga shirt on. I could break myself. I could be out here going crazy in my community to get this stuff, to give it back to these white people when they send me off to prison, because they're going to come take all the money. They're going to take all the jewelry back. They take everything. I don't know if y'all been through raids before or y'all understand what raids do. They take all your levers, diamonds, jewelry, TVs, anything of God. Anything of worth something they're gonna take from you. So we got a lot of realigning to do with our families and how we are raising kids, bro. Because you know, sometimes when we come men and women, it's already our foundational values and principles are already corrupt. From our family corrupted us. Understand that. We're getting corrupt information in the way we are raised nowadays. A lot of that stuff, and I'm not saying my family is wrong, but I know certain things that I got as a kid, it did not help me. And in prison, I had to change my values to be successful right now while I'm in the streets. I had to change those values, bro. So you got to change your value system. You got to change your principles, and you got to change your beliefs. That's a hard thing to do. That's not easy. You know what I'm saying? I was in prison all them times with dudes like elders like Jock around and dudes that was giving me information, and I had the discipline to take these things and realign my life and realign myself. That's how I change my values and my principles. Once you change what you do every day, then you can change your beliefs.
That's true.
Because we're a habit of change. It's hard to change your beliefs in a snap. You can't just do it in a snap. But if you change your everyday habits, then you can change what you believe and your values and your principles. That's deeper. Some things that you got values and beliefs and principles that you don't even know you got right now. They just ingrained with you, in you from a kid, from a youth. Why you do this? Why you do that? Because of what you believe, what you value, what your principles are. That's why you do it.
Let me add on to that. He made a valid point. If we don't change what we do every day, it's going to get worse. What you do every day. What you do every day is going to get worse, man. Like I always told the younger brothers around me, man, I didn't teach them to do the same things I did, man, but to be better. You know what I mean? One thing I realized that helped me young was to learn about myself, man. Have pride in self first. I noticed that like when we go to prison, we learn things that inspire us to do better. We have to go to prison to learn those things. We had to get in the habit of learning these things before we go to prison, man. And then teach it to your children, man. Learn things that you can teach to your children, man, that's beneficial. Trades, cultural awareness. Those things count. Stick around the people that live that way and think that way. They're going to be inspiring to you, man.
Yo, Smitty Bim in the building. Giants in the building. Yo, rise up.
Rise up.
Giants, you got him? Yo, Smitty, what up, man? Salute, man.
Yo,
I like that little short you slid on us. Go ahead, Mo.
I have a question, Jock, man. I know we pressed for time, but I just my question has to deal with some of the things that you're doing today to utilize your influence to help impact the young today. Can you give a little backdrop, provide a little synopsis of some of the things that you're doing today that's having a positive impact on the youth?
Number one is that I don't push the street culture no more. That's number one. Number two, I am ending and stopping would-be violence in the background in the streets, man, without looking for accolades and things of that nature. I don't need the organizations to do that. With my influence, I stop shit from happening, like we spoke about with Maserati Fox and all that. I never put that out there. Other people put that out. So this is what I'm doing. I'm feeding the homeless families. You know what I mean? With my own money, not organizational money, not the government money, and none of that. You know, individualistically, I know a lot of people, man. I get people jobs. I'm getting young bros jobs. I'm pushing them in other directions where they can do better. You know, and I don't tolerate the nonsense around me. So to be linked with me, you got to do something constructive, man, or be willing to, and I can put you in the right position. And I've been doing that. I always encourage getting trades, you know what I mean, and learning about yourself as a black man, man, because that's power.
Do you have any social media links that we can put in the chat for you, so that individuals who, like in this case, the brother whose nephew might want to reach out to you, or anybody else whose nephew may or niece or anybody for that matter who might want to reach out to you, do you have any of that where we can put in the chat for you?
Yes, you can put in my IG link.
I'll put it in. I got it.
Copy.
And my Facebook link. All I do is post positive stuff, man. Cultural awareness, political awareness, and things of that nature. I get DMs from people all the time, man.
Yo, rise up. Yo, we got Giants in the building. It's Giants right here.
Yo, Jock, shout it out, man. Smitty Brim, I see you in the building. Cosmology Bay. Glad y'all pulled up, man. It's always good to see y'all tuned in, man. Real talk. It's always good to see the people that we, that supports We Locked In, man. We really, really appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button, please, and share this live, man. It might be something that you might gain benefit from. or maybe someone who you have love for, who might gain benefit from it. But don't be selfish with this live tonight, man. We got the elder up here, somebody who paved the way for a lot of brothers, for our culture. And his story needs to be told, man. And again, perhaps we can gain some benefit from it. So
that's Jock's IG right there. We locked in. Just put it in. That's Jock's IG, man. Go follow Jock on Instagram. Jock.
Block.
Mabrock.
Yo,
Mabrock.
Guys. Rise up.
It's long overdue, man.
Right.
Long overdue, Jock, man. I was tuned in. You know, but I don't know, Mikey B. My comments wasn't going through. But I watched the whole thing, and yo, Jock, man, you was able to give a lot of knowledge today, man.
Appreciate you.
For real, man. People needed it, man. It's definitely a blessing, and I can't wait to the next elder come up. Remember when he touched the stage, man. You know, because that's what we doing, man. We setting that trail and we lighting fire to this YouTube, you heard?
Right.
Enlightenment. Building and destroying. Only.
And I'm glad you answered a lot of questions as it pertains to, you know, Rastafari, the movement, the struggle, you know what I'm saying, the tribalism. You know, you touched on a lot of different topics that need to be touched on, because there's a lot of people that they love Rasta, but, you know, it's a lot of isms and schisms that they don't know about.
True.
Right. Yo, Jay, somebody had you blocked. I just looked in there. I just took you out of there. You was blocked. I don't know who put you in there, bro, but you was blocked. But I took you out. Don't be blocking people. Please don't block them. Put them on timeout. I don't know who did that. I don't know how it happened, but
my brother, not him.
I took you out of there, bro.
Not my brother, man. Can't do that to him.
Yeah, man, but I had to get through here some way, somehow, Mikey B. But,
Call me personally. That's right.
I don't know who did it.
I found a way to get through, you know, but it just, I just feel blessed that Reggie was able to come up here, man, and put this vibe up on the thing, man. Especially Black History Month. You know, you brought Rasta to the table, man, and I like what you did tonight, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that was great. Yo, I just gave you a wrench too, so we ain't got to worry about that no more. They can't block you now, you heard?
All right, with that, I say His Majesty, Haile Selassie,
See how it first.
live my reign continually.
Right.
Heal.
Bless up.
Bless up. Rise up.
Yeah, that's the brother Ace. John Ace just called in personally on my phone.
Yo, we going on 3 hours right now. This is 3 hours right now. You know, Jock, we appreciate you for blessing us with your presence in the flesh for me. Once again, you know, we always linking up, you know what I mean? The elder, we always linking up, you know what I mean? Blessing the We Locked In stage, blessing the community with, you know, uplifting information, history, sharing your life with us, you know what I mean? Sharing your stories with us. We appreciate that, bro. You know what I mean? It means a lot to us.
It was an honor to be here, man. It was an honor to be here.
Yeah.
We need our elders to come to the forefront and tell their stories, get their testimonies, to guide the youth. You know what I mean? To guide us. This is very, very important to us. So, you know, appreciate you for that, bro.
Appreciate y'all.
Word up.
For having
me. And for the record, man, the brother made sure to travel up there to where you're at, Mikey. So, you know, that just goes to show, man, his level of respect and love and admiration for you. And vice versa, man, for you to invite him into your home, man, so that you guys could break bread together. You know what I mean? Like this is what we're doing here. And a lot of times people don't realize how important these relationships are. You know, we met each other in the bowels in the depths of the well. And now we're out here, we're able to introduce our families and loved ones to one, you know, to one another. You know, we're able to build and unite, you know, not destroy and tear each other down. But this is what this is about, man, that we can trust that, you know what I mean, our brothers and sisters, man, are going to help us get to the next level, man, because we can try to, you know, rebuild some of those bridges that we destroyed in the past. This is what this is about. So, you know, I definitely, big bro, man, we really really appreciate you, you know, taking the time out of your schedule to come on We Locked In, man. We look forward to collaborating with you in the future, man. Let our brother, man, Mr. Taylor know, man, we love him. It's my brother, you know, Debbie D, my boy. Tell that my brother, I love him, man.
What's my other version? They don't say his name. Hold on.
Dapper Lion. Yeah.
Dapper Lion. Yo, you gotta give me
my
Dapper
boy.
JP. I need the JP.
Dapper. Yeah.
Dapper is the Bertrand.
Yeah.
Dapper's my guy. Yo, give me
Bonafide.
I need Dapper's before
info.
I need his info. But yeah, man. But this ain't his first time. Jock been coming up here for years, bro. Jock been coming up here for years. Before I got this basement redone, before I did all that, Jock been up here, you heard?
Yeah. Because it's real, it's authentic, man.
You know what I'm saying? Jock been up here, you know what I mean? Jock was up here with my brother Free Nick. Nick was home. We was all up here with the SB Quan doing the music stuff. Jock been up here.
And I'm working with young artists right now, man. You know what I mean? Indie artists. I'm starting to work with some now from out of Detroit. I'm working back this way, trying to link them to the artists, indie artists out here in the East Coast. You know?
Right. But it's been an honor, bro. You know what I'm saying? We got to do this again. You know, there's always more stuff we need to talk about, you know what I mean? But we definitely for blessing this platform. This is definitely an epic one right here, you heard? This is big for the community. Definitely appreciate
if I can help with other elders to come on board, you know what I mean? I link Lumumba.
Yeah,
so I'll link some more.
Yeah, we need them. We need the elders to come through here and enlighten us and have that, you know, out here in the community, having these positive vibes, having these stories. You know, we need this in the community, bro.
This is an example of the generational connection that's needed. It's like dire right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is like really, this is like a microcosmism of what is needed, man.
All right. So we appreciate you, big bro. We're gonna close it out. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro. But yo, this is another great one, man. Yo, Mo, another great one, man. I've been, you know, me and Jock, we've been eating all over the city together. You heard, we've been going out.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
You know, people up here building on business. You know, we got a lot of things. We got a lot of connections, and just kicking it and being able to have this time together, like for the whole weekend. It's a lot of resources and things that we want to do with books and movies and a lot of stuff, clothing, and really, we know that we not using our personal potential to its fullest capability. Us on YouTube, we not using these platforms to their fullest capabilities. Having our merch, having our stuff, having our business right. And that's why we really need to respect our elders, so we're getting the information, not only to respect them, but to understand the information, you know, to share the information, to build together. If you don't have that respect, you won't be able to do that. To have these conversations, to have these bills, you know what I'm saying? So that's important, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, it's just really important that we always respect our elders, man. You know, we come from a long lineage of those that came before us, and the way we're successful, man, is when we acknowledge and respect those that came before us. And those that came before us know things that we don't know. They've been to places that we have not been. They have experiences that are vital for our longevity, for our survival. So, you know, our parents and our elders taught us right, man, respect your elders. So, you know, anytime our elders can come and grace their presence on We Locked In, man, that's truly an honor. And I'm humbled by the fact that the elder would do so on our show. So yeah, man, we truly appreciate that, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in too, man. And don't forget, man, to subscribe not only to We Locked In, but to Prison Riot Radio. Make sure, man, y'all support the sister J. Renee, because by supporting J. Renee, you're not only supporting her alone, but you're also supporting the brothers and sisters that's still behind the wall, who are currently being faced with some very draconian, oppressive circumstances and conditions. So please, man, support the peoples, man, that's behind the wall, man.
G-Dub, make sure y'all subscribe to G-Dub Quinn. Blow Dollars Network, Smitty Brimmer Cosmology Bay over there. They always got some good information for y'all. You got Cosmology Bay. He got his own channel. You got J Renee Prison Riot Radio. We got Ja HTV. Make sure subscribe to them.
That's right.
And you know, we just gonna give y'all good information, man. We're gonna keep giving y'all bangers. You know, as much as possible. We're gonna try to stay, you know, away from you, especially when we locked in. We gonna give y'all this is gonna be what it's gonna be. But you know, we here, man. This is what we do, man. Any last words, Mo?
Nah, man, we said it all, my brother. You see me, man. I'm be up for a few. I got work to do, man.
I see you, bro. I love you, bro. Yo, KK, salute to him. He had to tap out early to take care of his business. You know, my man is a working man. He be outside. You know, he grew up hip hop. You know, he's probably beating the drums or something.
Yeah.
He on B100 radio, probably being a shock jock right now.
Yeah.
Salute to the brother KK, you know what I'm saying? And the work that he's doing out there. Salute to his family, you know what I mean? Absolutely. And everything he's doing over there, you heard?
Absolutely.
Word up. KK, our brothers working, you know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all tune in on Tuesday nights. You heard? For that checkup. You know what I'm saying? He got that check. They got that wellness check on Tuesdays. You're not feeling well? Tuesdays is the night you come on We Locked In. Pull up. Hit the link. Pull up on the platform. Talk your talk. Get it out. You know, it can help you. You know what I'm saying? You know, KK, I think he got a fake, you know, some type of psychology degree or something. He might have, you know, he might not have a real one. You know what I mean? He might have made it. He might have made it in a print shop in prison. But, you know, that mic can help you too, you heard? Yo, love y'all, man. Y'all know it's We Locked In, man. Yo, salute, man. Y'all know what it is, man. We Locked In. Another trigger, y'all.